see them on the job, champions!
Hello and welcome to episode 136 of Celtic Rumours TV, the Bawz and Bovril podcast with your host Mark and myself Paul. Join us tonight, maybe later on Bobby if he comes to terms with today's result. If you like what we do, please hit the like button, hit notifications and hit subscribe. It really helps to show progress. You can also check out all the rest of the links to the podcast in our description below. On tonight's show we will look at match reaction to 1-0 defeat today against Kilmarnock. We look ahead to the transfer window and we'll be looking at next week's game against St Johnstone, and of course anything you guys want to discuss in the live chat, please let us know. Firstly though, I hand off to Mark for a few shout outs.
Thanks very much, Paul. A few quick shout outs for some of the lads off the forum: Richie, David, Tim Alloy, B Buzz, Glasgow Green, wee John United Ireland, Mikey. I don't know if Mikey's listening yet. He's working and he's got some job in his house on the now. Who have we got in the live chat tonight? Bobby, hi. I know how you feel, Bobby. I didn't think it was going to be a podcast. It was going to be a moaning faced one before the day's game. But I know exactly how you feel. Terence, nice to see you. Brian as well. Martin, nice to see you in again. Mo Sislak, it's a new name I think. Nice to see you, bud. Mrs. Z007, Rebel 86, thanks very much for coming in, mate. You as well, you Deef, nice to see you again, pal. We'll just go on with it, Paul, I think.
So Celtic are out of the Scottish League Cup so early in the season after we suffered a 1-0 defeat to Kilmarnock at Rugby Park. You can blame the pitch, plastic pitch there, but the showing from the players there simply wasn't good enough for the Celtic jersey. Celtic were bad from start to finish, and just to name a few, I have Taylor, Ralston, McGregor, Maeda, Abada. I think you could name the whole team today, Mark, really, and just didn't show up, did we?
I think our best player, Paul, all day was Haksabanovic when he came on.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of them just absolute garbage. Absolute garbage. The pitch is obviously a factor, right? It can't be easy playing football on that kind of surface, but it's still no excuse for the amount of players that put in that level of performance a day. It just, I mean, it just says that there's no one single player on that park a day I would have gave pass marks to, especially at the starting 11. McGregor, I don't know. McGregor's been a shadow of the McGregor we know for the season started, in my opinion.
Well, I said that last week, Mark, about McGregor is all this ball play that he was playing is it catching up in him? You know, is he slowing down faster than he actually thought he would?
But it shouldn't be, Paul. It shouldn't be the case because for a start with it, we're just at the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not as if we're coming towards the end of the season and we can see looking at the amount of games Cal McGregor's played over the years for us. Do you know what I mean? He very, very rarely misses a game for Celtic or Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's playing the last few seasons, he's playing like 60 games a season. Some of these seasons, hasn't he been? So you can't. So that's fair dues at the end of the season, but it's just the day. It was just totally unacceptable. It really was. There's absolutely no excuse that anybody can come up to me and say that I'd say, well, fair dues. That's a good enough reason. The reason is we simply didn't turn up. Too many players didn't play. Too many players didn't turn up. That's one of the worst Celtic performances I've seen in many, many years, Paul, if I'm being honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like, trying to put it like in things like Mark, like why do you think that? Like why do you think like that these players can put up a performance like that today when we seen them what these players can do? Do you know what I mean? Like why do they play the perform? I really don't know. I'm lost. Like
That's what I mean. There's no acceptable excuses for it, Paul. But is it down to the players themselves just no being quite that many players no being just quite at it the day up like at the races the day? Is it something to do with the way Rodgers is wanting them to play the game? Is it?
Well, then Mark, I'm going to say, didn't you? Then like
Evening camp, say big man, nice to see you, bud.
Are these players not good enough to play the way Brendan Rodgers wants them to play? Highlight Greg Taylor today. How many times did I see him, Mark, going into that inverted road today again? And the space out on the left-hand side was just ridiculous. All day there was space out there, and he was getting run ragged on that left-hand side. And the reason I think is Mead not pushing back as he used to under Brendan Rodgers, as he did with Ange. And are we seeing Taylor going back to when Neil Lennon was there that he can't defend?
Taylor's no been. He's another one that's the best that starts the season. Just seems to have regressed. I mean, you know how long I've backed him up to the hilt, but I can't back him up after the last few games. I really can't. I don't. Is it true that we're looking for another left back? Is that why Taylor Seeds went down? And do you know what I mean? Does he know that his jersey was already on a sugary peg before there was even a ball kicked?
I don't know, man. I really. But Mark, then like that should give you more passion to play for the jersey and up your game if you know that.
Well, you would think so. You would think he'd say, "Well, I've got until we bring in this new left back, I've got a chance to prove that I can be Brendan Rodgers, his first choice left back." But he's certainly not covered himself in any glory through the last few games. He really hasn't.
And another thing too, like. Where's the wingers? Do you know what I mean? I really can't remember a decent cross into the box today, Mark. Really, like I can't. You know, we didn't even test the keeper.
But even when they're crossing it, Paul, what's the point of crossing the ball to Kyogo?
Yeah,
it's pointless. It really is. It's completely pointless to hit crosses into the box, hoping that Kyogo's got to get on the end of them. Evening, Kenneth Robson. Thanks very much for coming in. But mate, nice to see you. Callum Clark as well. Thanks very much, mate.
What did you think of Lagerbeekel and Navosky today, Mark? The centre back pairing.
Oh, they didn't really do much wrong, did they?
No, I actually thought they.
For two young guys, one of them's playing his first game. Do you know what I mean? Getting flung in. And it's like, maybe that's when like the pitch kind of comes into it a bit, maybe. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like the Swedish boy, Lager Bielke, whatever as you pronounce it.
But he would have played on these kind of pitches as well,
Paul,
no. Yeah, but not pitch like that, though.
Aye, that's the thing. You've probably been told, right, it's an artificial pitch, and he's thought, oh, that's no bother. I'll canter on that. And then he's been out on that the day and thought, what the name of God's this? Do you know what I mean? It's easy, it's all right saying that these players have played on plastic pitches, but even Celtic probably trained on plastic pitches all week for this game. But I'd probably even say that Celtic's plastic pitches are in better condition than that Kilmarnock thing.
I even, Mark, watching the game, I pulled down the blind because I thought it was the sun shining in through the window onto the deli, but it was actually the sun shining on the pitch that was reflecting off the cameras on the pitch.
Aye,
you couldn't really see where the ball was.
No,
you know?
when the ball moved quickly on the deck, when you're watching it on telly, you lose track of the ball when you're playing on that pitch for the way that the lights are reflecting off it and that.
Not a bright side, but you could look at something, Mark, that me and you and Terence and a few of the lads in the live chat were kind of looking for, and we saw Haksabanovic in this kind of attacking role, but in more centre. And you were impressed with him today when he came on?
Well, I mean, he's one of the players as well, Paul. I want him to do well when he came in, because when he was coming on as a sub, he was showing a wee bit of dig and a wee bit of bite and a wee bit of skill and technical skills in that as well. But he never really showed much when he did get like a chance when he was getting a full game in that. But again, Paul, he came on as a sub today, and I thought he was probably our best player. It was probably between him and Yang, because the two of them did come on and just try to go like a lot more direct.
What about the penalty shows? What's your thoughts on that?
At the end, probably Paul. I could see it.
You could see it giving, Mark, for another team. Like, that's giving. Do you know what I mean? That's a giving for another team in the SPL. You know, and you know that for a fact. Like, you know, Celtic would never get in that today so late in the game anyway. You know, maybe if it was all on the game, we could have had maybe a better possibility of getting that, but not at the dying seconds. There's like, I think McGuinness played the referees before the game on about the penalty last year. He played the referees ahead of this game as well, I think. You know,
a wee bit of mind games about it.
Yeah. You know, not to give Celtic a penalty and stuff like that. Like, you know, but I'm not saying it influenced the situation, but could get in the referee's head, Mark, with that kind of stuff, like, you know.
But I mean, you can't take in away from Kilmarnock today as well. I mean, they've done their job and done it well, and every one of their.
You know what I'm noticing, Mark?
Every one of their players worked their socks off, Paul. Could you say the same about our players?
Since the start of the season, the 3 games now I've watched Celtic, we're getting pressed. All right, we're getting pressed high up the field, and we can't handle that. And I don't know what it is. Brendan Rodgers needs to sort it out. It's not up to me to sort it out. It's up to Brendan Rodgers. But the Celtic players do not look. And we said this before, Mark, even before Brendan Rodgers in the team, before Andrews in the team, Celtic do not like teams in their faces.
No.
And that was the same today. We just couldn't handle that today. And that's like, what's his name today? Michael Stewart was this. He was the co-commentator. He said, Greg Taylor is getting shoved over by an 18-year-old. Armstrong, I think it was, on the left-hand side. He's getting shoved over. He should be getting shoved over by no youngster, Mark, in the SPL. You know? I really think we're very nice.
But Paul, we've said that for even under Ange, we said that. There was no kind of real physicality in the team. I mean, Home, he looks a bit, he doesn't look as if he'll take much messing about in that, but in other positions you still need some kind of strength and dig in the team. But
yeah,
even Dr. Strangelove, thanks very much for coming in again.
I think we need strength, Mark, in one position only, and that's the Callum McGregor role. You know what I mean? Like, our midfield was non-existent today, Mark. Just non-existent. You know? Like, fair enough. Now McGregor was man marked, you know, and the ball's going to try to go high. And Joe Hart was trying to get the ball to him, kind of choked again, but he could because he was man marked. But under Ange, Mark, we've seen McGregor make this space for himself. Do you get me? I know he's not doing that, and I just don't know why he's not trying to make this space to receive the ball.
But that's not what Rodgers will have changed anything in Callum McGregor's game.
No, that's what I'm saying.
It's McGregor that's no stepping up and doing what he needs to do on the park.
Yeah, you know, because we've seen these players, Mark, like that was one of the best teams of the Celtic team, Mark, and only 3 players left the club, really, like in start. There was Yasser, Moy, and Starfelt. But they're the same players. They're the same players, Mark, who run off the ball to make the space. I'm just not seeing it. Like, you know, like, do you think like this passing side to side is going back to the way Rodgers was playing, and that's his style of play? You know, slow.
But Ange's done the same as well, but Paul, with passing a bit to the back and out for the keeper and stuff like that. Evening, Michael. Thanks very much for coming in again, mate. Great to see you, buddy.
You know, we were just. I think, Mark, as well, when Hatat is not in this team, the tempo of the Celtic team isn't there. You know, does he up the tempo of this Celtic midfield, of the fast football, and he's not taking 2-3 touches on the ball waiting, do you know?
But who is taking this? That's what I mean. Who is doing that?
No one really, Mark. Like, we didn't even have the ball today to do that. You know, I just think we're very, very slow. I don't know. Is that down to the pitch today, Mark? That
There's
was
nobody
very
to
slow.
fight. I've said it the other night, and it's like I play like Scott Bryn.
Yeah.
There's nobody. I mean, they'll run about and chase the ball and cut angles and that, but there's no kind of bony aggression in the team. There's nobody actually driving a kind of aggressiveness throughout the team.
No, there's not, Mark. There's no one there that's going to give you good fights. Or, like Michael there was saying, I said it last week. That as it sounds like that McGregor needs a rest already. Like that's scary, Mark, to say that a player needs a rest only 3 games into the season. You know.
Sorry, Paul. So when you go,
You know, I said that Michael is saying that McGregor needs a rest already. And I said that's strange. That's unbelievable. Like that we're saying this for our
I should have
captain.
just said that before Michael came in there. I said that it's shocking if he is needing a rest already.
You know, strange of we looked crap because of the Pies blend off zonal man marking combined with pitch, a homo ref, or squad still getting to know each other. And I saw this come. I had this weird feeling about today as well, Mark. You know, I really did. You know, I think we're still kind of trying to get used to Rodgers, but like these are professional players, Mark. Like they should know by now the way Rodgers wants them to play, shouldn't they? You know.
Oh, Paul, how can McGregor play under Ange, play under Ronnie, play under Rodgers before, and then he goes to
And his
Scotland?
role is staying the same.
Aye, and he goes to play with Scotland and plays under Steve Clarke, and now he's struggling to find how to play under Rodgers. I'm not buying that kind of thing about like players are struggling. The basic concept of the game's still the same.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And McGregor's still playing in the same position that he plays in, a central midfielder.
Mm-hmm. But it was he's trained there, Mark, in this kind of zonal marking team too that Rodgers likes. 3 times we were caught at that back post today. 3 times we were caught at that back post today, and they could have scored 3 goals from that back post today. Kilmarnock.
Evening, James McGrory. Thanks very much for coming in again, mate. Nice to see you, buddy. Aye, mate. See the thing about it. See, we're defending at set pieces, and we're actual offensive set pieces. The 2 of them's needing a hell of a lot of work done on them, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
When was the last time a Celtic defender scored a goal with a header?
Jeez, Mark, I can't even remember, but that's how long it's gone back now, boy. Was it Welch? The only one I can remember was Welch at the start of last season against Hearts, I think.
Right, well, there you go.
That's the only one I can actually remember, Mark.
Evening, Mikey. Nice to see you, mate.
You know,
I mean, that tells you something, doesn't it?
You know, that's actually right. That's the only one. Like I said, Michael is saying no one can be shocked about that result with the way Celtic have been playing. Aberdeen are rotten, and we're rotten versus County going into the Champions League. Well, look, just going by Rodgers' comments today, Mark, right? And he said we lacked quality. We lacked quality. This team lacks a bit of quality, and that's what this team needs. Like, are you expecting signings to come in now after Rodgers, things like that? Like, you know, like I'm not saying they're project signings, but more of a, how would you say it, Mark?
Aye, first team starters.
Yeah. First team ready players, Mark, to come in with more experience than signing 21-year-olds and 22. I know you have to have them, Mark, because like that's Celtic's bread and butter, but we do actually lack experienced players in this team.
Aye, but 2 or 3 quality players, and certainly, I mean, we know what the positions we know ourselves really, but that would make all the difference to this team. I mean, that guy, I'm not going to try and say his name, the striker we were linked to earlier. You got to try and say it.
I have it. 2 seconds. Then I walk away. You the striker fella, the Danish fella.
Aye.
Chris Kjærsgaard.
How many goals has he scored?
He scored 10 goals in 35 appearances last season for his club. 21 years of age. He plays with Denmark under 21s.
I mean, it's just another project again, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And where's he going to be in the pecking order? There seems to be. There doesn't seem to be any. I mean, I'm not getting it onto the actual the quality even the players we're bringing in, because they're all winning young player of the year stuff and all that in their respective countries that they've came from. But it's still I don't know how to put it. We've still got to find that balance. We can't just have, and we're still. I mean, home looks good, Yang looks good, right? So they're good players, but how many central midfielders are Celtic going to stockpile?
I know, Mark. Yeah, I know. I really do. I really like.
While we struggle,
that's one part of the area, Mark, is we struggle there today, and it's one part of the squad, Mark, where it's kind of over cramped with players, you know.
Aye.
You know.
Even I mean, I'm going to say it again. I still would rather we went out and signed a top striker. I really would.
Mm-hmm. Like I was very impressed with Hope today, though. You know, I know he came off, but Mark, it was his first start, and
I've been impressed every time I've seen him. I've been impressed with him, Paul.
I'd like to see him in where McGregor was playing. I'd like to see him there. That's where I'd like to see him, and I think that's where he could actually give Celtic that little bit of voice in that midfield. Is in that position, you know, or even next to Kilmarnock, you know.
I mean, is it going to just be the 4-3-3 going forward? I
don't know, Mark. Maybe Rodgers think that that's the best way that this team can play at the moment, Mark, till he gets players in that he wants to kind of play his favourite formation. You know, I don't know. You know,
because that's the thing about it. Right, you've got Matt O'Reilly, you've got McGregor, and you've got Holm or Turnbull in there. I mean, let's face it, they're all very similar types of player.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
It's like when Roderick and Turnbull were playing there.
A
couple of years back. You know, very, very similar, Mark, and they're just doing the same thing as each other. You know.
And Maeda the day I thought again.
Shocking.
I'm not actually sure.
Yeah, that's the first time, Mark, I've criticised Maeda now.
But what is Maeda's best position?
Really don't. I can't.
He's not a winger.
Like under Ange, I could see what Maeda did, Mark, pressing, tracking back, and helping out Taylor and stuff like that. But now he's not doing that, and I'm looking at myself going, like he was getting beaten today, Mark, in 1-on-1s. When you're thinking, you should be getting beaten in 1-on-1s by fucking Fenley. Do you know what I mean? You know. I don't think we just look fit, Mark. I don't know. Does this team look fit to you?
I was just saying to Mikey before we came on, Paul, I was on Skype to Mikey, and I was saying to him, I thought Maeda, see the one, well then Mikey saying he'll come on for a wee half hour. See the one when we kind of broke out for rain boxing, Maeda could just, towards the end of the game, Maeda could have just ran with the ball. We know his speed and we know how quick he can get up the park, but he tried to do that big crossfield pass to Yang and messed it up. And then I had to
leave the room, Mark, at that stage, Mike, because I was just going fucking ballistic, Mike. I had to leave the room. I really did, like, and it's a long time now since I left the room when Celtic were losing. I just went.
A few times when he was caught on camera, you could see him rubbing his leg and stuff like that. So I don't know whether Maeda's not really fit, but that's still, if he wasn't fit enough, he shouldn't have been playing. But that still doesn't take away from the fact that when he plays out in the wing, he's not a winger. He can't cross the ball.
Mark, he can't cross this. You get one decent cross out of Maeda out of about 8 attempts. You might get one decent cross. Do you know what I mean? But, you know, I really like him, Mark. And you know how much I rate Maeda, what he did. Under Brendan Rodgers, Mark. I don't see I don't see the press. I don't see the press from Kyogo either, Mark. Everything at the moment, Mark, just seems slow. Even
Pedestrian.
or throwings, Mark, there's no urgency. There seems to be no urgency from Joe Hart to kick the ball or to throw the ball. Everything seems slow. No one's rushing out when Joe Hart has the ball to receive the ball to make. That seems to be gone. It really does just seems to be gone. And at the moment, Mark, I don't know. I really think that there's a lot of work to do for Brendan Rodgers with this team. Yeah, are these players
100%.
not good enough, Mark, the way Brendan Rodgers wants to play? Or like you have to think of it too, Mark. A lot of these players in this squad were Ange signings. They were suited to the way Ange wanted to play, and they suited to the way Rodgers wants to play. That's the big question, and I think a lot of them aren't.
You there, Mikey?
All right, how are you getting on?
Aye, all right. What about you? Listen to that for a voice of pure despondency there for you, Mikey. Right, Terence, I'll catch you later, mate. See you later, bud. Evening, Kieran. Thanks for coming in again, Paul. Thanks for coming in again, Kieran, mate.
All right, thanks very much, Mark. I'll go. Your thoughts, Mike? You heard us. Your thoughts?
I only caught bits and pieces of the game because I've been doing a lot of work in the house just now. But I spoke to my dad. He actually went to the match, and I always take his word on the way Celtic are playing. And he says it's one of the worst Celtic performances in the last few years. And based on the live chat, listening to yourselves and everything, I think everybody's in the same boat. Like I said, the fact that the season's barely started and we're already out a cup 2-3 games into the season is quite embarrassing at a club like Celtic. In 2-3 weeks' time, when the Viaplay Cup starts again, we're going to have a free week. You know what I mean? The season's not even started. And to be honest, like I said, what you put in the chat, I'm not surprised there. Like I mean, it seems to be a few other people that seem to be shocked by this performance, but I mean, it's been coming. Like I said, against Ross County, we were poor. People say we scored 4 goals, but the performance was very poor for most of the game. Aberdeen, like I say, they're no great shakes, and against a well-organised team today, just punished there. How many shots did Celtic have on target today?
1, 2, I say, Mike. Not even by
3.
I can't remember.
3. The BBC says 3.
So that's what I mean. So there's just
embarrassing.
that's what I mean. But since the start of the pre-season, even after the treble, you want to try and improve the squad. And Celtic, since like the transfer dealings that Celtic have had, other than, in my opinion, Norofsky, the centre back, not one player's been a starting 11 signing. And people will say that Lager Bielka and that he's no starter like it. Because if Norofsky and Carter Vickers is there, then he's the backup centre back. Well, Welsh. Young, that Kwon, players like that, they wouldn't have brought in to start. That's what we were sold. People keep talking about this money, this mythical money that Celtic have got with the Champions League and the sale of Jota and that. Where is it? Because it's quite clear that Celtic need to improve at left back, goalkeeper, winger, striker, dog in the middle of the pitch. And there's just not happening, is there? That's true. Like he says, it's not like he says lost a game and the dominant. This is a cup game. Like I said, if you maybe fall short in the league early doors, you can bounce back. You're out the cup.
This is Celtic's most important game of the season so far. If you're saying, Mike, if they'd lost a league game, we can make up the points as it goes on. But I lost in a cup and you're out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We won a treble last year and we fell at the first fence to defend the first trophy of the day. And I've said it before, I know, Mikey, I would love us to be like if it was doing in England or that, and to play like the reserve kind of young players and all that in the League Cup and that. But the thing about it is up in Scotland, right? See now that we're out of that, the chances are that trophy's going to end up at Ibrox, isn't it?
Yeah, but Mark, the way that team played today, Mark, you nearly think that was a Celtic reserve team that they looked like they never played with each other, you know.
But I mean,
just like going back to like the transfer dealings, and there's people saying that's early doors and everything. How early doors is it now when you're at the cup? Like you say, it was quite clear that Kyogo wasn't. He could have played the Rad the day and no scored. Let's turn to the bench and bring on a quality striker. I've not got him. Celtic Football Club. I've not got a backup striker. Like it says,
Yeah, there was no one on that bench today really that I looked at Michael and thought, bring him on, he could change the game. Or do you know what I mean there was nothing like that there today on that bench.
I'm just genuinely worried about. I'm just genuinely worried about the transfer dealings. Like it says, everybody keeps talking about this money, and that's what I mean. What's that? I don't know how many weeks are left. Maybe a week and a half left to transfer on the 20th of August.
Yeah.
When are these deals meant to be happening? Have Celtic actually got the money that we think they have?
It's in the accounts, isn't it?
Going back to that as well. Michael, what you're saying there, like when Rodgers came in, like we heard of these guarantees he was getting, Mark, that he wants to kind of bring Celtic to the next level in the Champions League and in Europe. You're not going to do that with this team, are you?
Well, I just like I keep getting just every so often. Then I'm coming up for 37 this year, getting older, and I still get excited by the rumours of some signings and that. But every time you get kind of excited about a signing coming in that's been mentioned, it just gets pulled right from under you. The first name was Livakovic. Possibly could have been our best goalkeeper we've signed since we got Boric. That went missing in action. Then Daniel Pedenza crying out for a winger.
Were we actually interested in him, Mike? Was there any truth in that, or was there all rumours?
I think there was some form of truth in it, and then they maybe had the wage demands and whatnot. But again, it's one of the players, Paul Pedenza. You're crying out for somebody like that. That's what you're crying out for somebody like that.
He could come up and he'd come up to Celtic, Michael, and it'd be like having Sinclair all over again because he'd resurrect his career up in Celtic. I mean, he'd be a quality sign. I've seen him play for Wolves, and he was just out. Anytime I saw him,
I remember seeing him for Olympiacos before he signed for. I think he signed for Wales for about 20 million 2 or 3 years ago from Olympiacos, and you see him in Europe at the odd time, and he was outstanding. It's pretty like that. We're crying out for somebody like that, like you says, and we've settled Jota for big money. In my opinion, as an overall player, Pedenza is better than Jota.
Yeah.
I say Jota's still young; he's still a work in progress. Like with players like Pedenza and Livakovic, you're no buying projects. You're buying. I mean, no transfer is a guarantee, but you're buying guys that are tried and tested at a high level. I mean, Livakovic has played in the World Cup semi-final. Pedenza has played for Portugal and has played in the Premier League for how many the last 2-3 years. That's the kind of players that Celtic need. We didn't need these projects. We need to start we're going to need to sharpen up in the next week and a half. Like
we need to start signing some players for the here and now, Michael, rather than as you're saying, projects or somebody that's going to gradually come into the team and be a cracking player 2 year time.
You can still bring in these projects, Mark. You know what I mean? And with the amount of games Celtic play, Mark, these young players will get their chance as well. But you have to bring in that experienced player as well, like what Michael is saying as well, and Celtic just aren't doing that,
But the other thing I've got with signing players like Pedenza and Livakovic and that as well, Livakovic in that 26-27, same as Pedenza, they had 2 good years at Celtic. They're trebling their transfer for you.
There's still a chance to you can make money.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to have some quality players in your squad for the next few years. Do you know what I mean? As you said, Mikey, we spoke about it just before. 2 good years out of Livakovic in Scotland, and you're easily doubling your money at least for him.
When will Celtic, and it's quite clear there's been interest in Livakovic, when have we ever had a chance in the last 5-6 years of getting a quality, proven, top international goalkeeper at his peak age, 26-27, for 8-9 million euros?
Aye.
I mean, Celtic should be biting off their hand to get that deal done. And obviously, Fenerbahce, the other team, Celtic could dwarf Fenerbahce going to get him. I mean, just get the money out and get the guy signed. Joe Hart going into the Champions League with players like Taylor, the way that he's been playing, and Joe Hart and that gives me the fear for who. I normally get excited when we get the Champions League draw. See if we end up getting Man City or
Real Madrid.
I'm genuinely worried. And it's alright if we be going on about, we'll get the guaranteed money for the Champions League. I'd rather not take it and get bumped like it could be horrific with that team going into the Champions League. I'm genuinely worried.
Talking about it, I mean, can you imagine, Mikey, with an injury or that, and we're going to play Real Madrid and we need to play future captain Stevie Welsh in there?
I mean, that's another. I mean, that. Have you ever seen a clearer indication that Celtic have been like contract renewals just for homegrown players than Welsh? Nothing against the guy in that, and there's loads of guys posting on the forum the other day saying it was great business. It's progression for Celtic Football Club. I just didn't see how that was progression. Offering Welsh a new deal. They've been trying to offload Welsh for the last 2 transfer windows, and then all of a sudden offer him a new deal.
Well, how close was you, Mikey, to jumping in the motor up the road to Dundee United? When was that? Last January?
Yeah, that was January. That was January. It wasn't just a loan to United. It was a loan to possibly
an obligation to buy, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was basically what it was. Yeah, and then he gets it, and then 6 months later he gets a 4-year deal at Celtic.
I think if Jens didn't go at that time as well, Mikey, Welsh should have been out the door. You know,
he's not good enough to play at Celtic again. It's nothing against the guy, and every well, he's never let it in. I beg to differ. Every time I've seen Welsh, the amount of times that the boy devs in and gives away fouls, he's not good enough for Celtic. That's it. And if people are saying that he is, then everybody's entitled to their opinion, but I just didn't see it.
No, like I mean, I liked him when he was younger, Mikey. Do you know what I mean? I thought he'd something when he was younger, but he's just another one of the young players that he's just not improved. He's not improved at all that I can see anyway. And but 22, 23 now, he's not a young boy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here's one from Ting, right? This is the thing about Brendan Rodgers Celtic. It relies on individuality to raise its levels. Under Ange, it was about the system. And if the individual shone, it was all the better. Like that's a fair point, isn't it? It was the system. And I don't think the players know the system that Brendan Rodgers trying to play, because I've seen Robertson do it today. I've seen Taylor do it so many times today, and we were caught in the wings so many times because of it. The 2 lads would keep going into inverted full back roles. Keep going into it. And even Michael Stewart said it. It's like they're still playing the inverted full back roles, and Celtic are getting caught out time and time again down the wings. You know?
I think I'm just genuinely worried, and I keep going on about Europe because I'm genuinely worried about it. We suffered in some of our most humiliating defeats with Rodgers in charge in Europe, and I can just see it happening again. Like I think was it 7 or something for PSG, 7 for Barcelona, 5 at him for PSG, and it's just it's soul destroying. And a lot of people just didn't care because of the money.
I'd like to think he's learned his lesson, but Mike, did he not get to a semi-final in Europe with Leicester? I'm hoping that he's learned it. When you have these teams like Celtic or Leicester, you can't just go there and go toe to toe with your PSGs and your Barcelona. They've just got to destroy you, and that's what happened to us.
But Mark, he played to his strengths. Like he had the players that could do that, and I don't think at the moment Brendan Rodgers has the players to play his system. I really don't.
But is his system? You keep saying that, Paul.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't even think Brendan Rodgers knows it at this time of day, Mark. I don't think he even knows his best 11.
These are professional players, but Paul. Yeah. Right, Mikey, you played at higher levels than me right? Right, you were always playing as a striker, weren't you?
Yeah.
See if you went from one team to another, and the boss said to you, right, Mikey, instead of doing that, I play this way. Did it take you any kind of great length of time to change the way you were? It should be easy for Celtic. It's no rocket science.
It should be, Mark. Yeah, should be.
Yeah, like we've got that many, like supposedly that many good players in that. The day, like I said, I only caught glimpses of the game because I've got, like I said, I've been that busy. But based on what my dad was saying, in that half the team just looked like they were just no interested.
Yeah.
That was what my dad said. He says that, like, my dad said that they could have played there all day, and still no scored. The whole team, it didn't matter. There's no point in people grasping at straws about like Haksabanovic, possible penalties and everything, and that, even if it was a touch or go. Celtic shouldn't be at the desperation stage where they're claiming for penalties in the 97th minute. But that's what I mean. Like
I think that's when we kind of started playing a bit of football. Mark was around the 88 minutes. You know.
Aye, when Haksabanovic and Yang came on, we started looking a bit more direct and stuff like that. And
I'm surprised at the boy. I'm surprised the boy Yang. I'm surprised that guy didn't, because he actually looks like he's actually a better player again. Again, he wasn't assigned to come into. He wasn't Jota's replacement. No, I mean that deal was done well before Jota was over there. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a guy. Again, he's a decent young player and everything that, but again, he's not going to. I just thought Celtic. When Rodgers was announced, I thought they were going to move on to an extra level regarding with signings and quality players. But it seems like we've regressed and went backwards, and we're signing. It's just back to projects. What
was
you're never?
That just sorry, Mikey. Go on, finish there, bud.
You're never ever going to keep getting lucky. Like Kyogo was about 4 or 5 million, and don't get it wrong, he's a quality player. Hatate again, I think it's 2.5 million or something. Again, you're not going to get a lot. But the boy Kwon and everything at the side, he'll be lucky if he probably plays for Celtic again. No, I mean he looks that bad, eh? You're not going to keep
Kobayashi into that mix as well.
Kobayashi and that Kwon. I kind of it was only a friendly or something. But if anybody went to James Forrest's testimonial against Bilbao, it's possibly the worst performance I've ever seen in the last 10 years for a Celtic player. Eh? And people say, well, he's just in the door, give him a chance. But sometimes first impressions is everything. Eh? And it's like Celtic you're not going to keep getting lucky with these £2-3 million players that they've did year after year after year. Sometimes you just need to look, put your money where your mouth is when you've got the money sitting and go, we need to try and be quality. Eh?
Just what Mickey is saying there, Mark, right? That the likes of Kobayashi and Juan there and these type of players, like Rodgers, like these kind of physical players, big players and players that would give it. They don't seem to be those type of players that Rodgers would kind of go for, do they?
No, but I don't think it's the type that we go for. But we've got them, so he needs to kind of utilise them. He came out the other day and said his job's to coach the players that the club give him. So I mean, I don't get it because as Mikey says here, for every Kyogo there's a Gucci, Paul. Not even a pop at your Gucci. Do you know what I mean? For every Hatate, there's a Kobayashi. For every Livakovic, there's a Barkas. Do you know what I mean? Every transfer is a big gamble, but I know what Mikey's saying, but it's too many gambles, isn't it, Mikey? It's always gambles. Right? I mean, when was the last time Celtic signed a player that well, mate, I know you probably knew them, Mikey, but it caught the kind of imagination of the fans.
Only my Mark is Robbie Key, really? And I go back that a long time ago, Mark. Robbie Key, when the internet broke down that time. I mean,
even when Scott Sinclair signed, there was Celtic fans on there. Oh, he's garbage. He's done nothing. No, I mean, Scott Sinclair was a decent quality pub league player, but not any use that guy there. I mean, but Sinclair, Mikey, you know as well. Sinclair was a good player. He wasn't a great Premier League player, but he was decent enough. I was quite confident that Sinclair would be a good player for Celtic. He done better than I expected him to. But even apart from it, you can even go back. I mean, even Dembele, he was only a young player that hardly anybody had ever heard of him or knew who he was, stuff like that. But if you keep saying, with the money that we're supposedly having in the bank, it's time to go out there and just buy 2 or 3 players that's just going to be right in there, right into the team straight away without any hassle or needing time to bed in. Guys that have got the experience to come into any club and just slip into the squad seamlessly.
Mm-hmm. Like, to improve a winning team, Mark, is exactly the point you're making, is to bring in better players. And have Celtic have done that this season so far?
Well, I'd say Holmes an upgrading Moy.
Yeah. Navasky, I think, could be, looking at him now, I think, Mike, he could be better than Starfelt, I think, could he? You there, Mike? Does he have to freeze?
It must be away for the. It must be away for the microphone, isn't it?
You know,
Sorry, I
think
got
he could have
disconnected
the,
there.
Oh, there he's there.
You know,
No,
I think
know.
he has potential to be better than Starfelt. I think. You know, Lewandowski. You know, other than that, Mark, we really haven't improved the squad, have we?
No, not really. And
You know,
apart from Jota a bit, Paul, that weakened us, but I don't think losing, well, bringing in Naroski and the Swedish lad, I don't think it's weakened us that much losing Starfield and bringing NATO in.
I think, Mark, and
The only miss really is Jota for me.
I don't know what has happened to our team, Mark. I said at the start of the show, I think our intensity's gone when Hatat is not in that team.
It might be.
You know,
better get used to that. I think we better get used to that.
Before he got injured, Mark, there, like the intensity kind of came up when he came on. Like, you know, he just gets the ball. He knows where the player's going to be, and he just gets rid of it.
Hatat can be awfully hot and cold as well, but
Yeah,
Paul,
I know that, yeah. You know,
mate,
I know that.
he's on his game.
On his game, Mark, he's...
Aye.
But
And I'm not want to lump him in as bad as like the Crumble.
Something has happened between Hatate and whoever it is, Mark. I don't know. Like, there's talks now that himself and the Bad will get new contracts. If he signs, Mark, maybe he's got the hope, Mark, that he didn't get a new contract yet, and Kyogo and Maeda got contracts, and why didn't he? You know, we don't know what's going on, Mark, but something has gone wrong there, hasn't there? At the moment, he just doesn't look the same. His attitude, Mark, or thing doesn't look the same as it was.
No.
You know?
I don't. I'll still be. I'm 50-50 now, Paul, whether I think he'll still be here when the window closes.
Yeah, but if he does leave, Mark, like, we do have to bring in some of that quality to replace him, because at the moment, Mark, I wouldn't like to have the season as Turnbull as your number one midfielder, or Plum. You know, I'd like another quality player, Mark, a playmaker, really, wouldn't you? You know?
How many times are Celtic going to get burned like this? This happened a few seasons ago with players that wouldn't want to be there. And I genuinely get the impression that Hatate doesn't want to be there.
I think that's real, Mikey.
So, and again, I think he's an outstanding midfielder when he wants to be.
Mm-hmm.
He's no good all the time, like, yeah. But if he doesn't want to be there, move him on. Because it's not going to be good in the change room having that toxicity. Yeah. We got burned in the past with Christie and Edward and players like that were wanting, screaming to get away. And look what happened. You know what I mean? Like I say, just get players moved on that didn't want to be there. I understand they're under contract and that.
We've seen that under our previous manager, Mark, didn't we? You know, you didn't want to be there, you're gone, you're out the door. Your manager, J. Marcus. You know, what's happened now is, do we have... Is Rodgers too nice, or I don't know what's, you know, I really don't.
But it's not up to Rodgers.
No, it's not.
I didn't know. I personally didn't know. I've been that busy all week, so I've been struggling to keep up to date with everything that's going on. And I've heard obviously Mark and Buzz on the forum and that talking about Rodgers' comments regarding he doesn't assign the players, he just coaches them. It sounded like a total scapegoat comment to me, like oh well, if they're not getting me the players, then I can only coach them. I just found it very strange to be saying that in the press. Maybe I looked too much into it again, and maybe people got different ideas. But I found it very strange. Yeah. Like a strange comment to make. It was like, oh well, I'm not taking any ownership because I didn't buy the players. I just coached them.
Why did they not say that when he came in his first press conference and he says, "Oh, I've looked at the process and the way the club's ran and he was happy enough with it." So why even bring that up, Mikey? Do you know what I mean? That's what I thought about it. I mean, I kind of half knew that, and many times I've argued with people about it that Rodgers was only kind of a part of the decision-making process. But the way he's actually come out and says he's not really that much input in it at all, to be honest.
That's what I mean. Like when he was first here, like Scott Sinclair and everything and players like that, that was all players that he signed. You know what I mean? So it's not like, so as his role totally changed for the last time he was at Celtic and he's came back to something different, or is it, did he just pick and choose what players that he signed and what else he doesn't?
See, that's what you've got to watch out for as well, isn't it?
Because, like he says, he signed players like Scott Sinclair and Roberts and that, but he didn't sign players like, what was the German guy?
Shavid, remember Shavid? Was it Shavid? Was it?
Yeah.
And he came out and he said, we've enough wingers in the team, and I didn't sign him. You know?
Aye, and then Shved came out and says that he spoke to Brendan Rodgers on the phone before he'd signed.
Mm-hmm.
So that again, we've got. I mean, we've been burnt in the past with some of Rodgers' stories. You know what I mean? So I think maybe, at least for the now, we'll take things with a pinch of salt. But I mean, I thought it was strange they actually came out and explained that bit, Mike. I really did.
It's like Mark Shoney.
Was that him having a dig at the quality that they're bringing in, maybe?
I think
the
so,
quality
Mark,
they're bringing in.
If you look at it, Mark, like, look at the top teams, like, they get produced. Like, their scouting system was doing what Celtic's scouting system was doing. And then they're given this list of fucking the manager, and he's looking at these players as well, right? Yeah, take this player, that player. You know what I mean? You don't see Man City signing players for Pep Guardiola. They provide him with the list. Do you get me? You know?
Yeah.
And
what
he looks at players as well, like, you know, but the way Rodgers is saying it seems to be Lowell that's signing the players, Mac. Baby Lowell, no, not Peter Lowell.
Is that I can't see his first name, Mike. Is it you call him Beggerstein or something? The director of football.
TC Beggerstein, yeah.
Aye, he's the director of football at Man City, Paul. So even the bigger clubs than that kind of operate the same kind of way.
Yeah, but like the manager would have a say too, Mark. Like, you know what I mean?
Aye, they'll probably be involved more than.
Yeah, but going by what Rodgers is saying, Mark, he's kind of saying, like, I have no say in who are signing, kind of a thing, like, and you know, just I don't know. I
says I play a part. They have a pipeline of players that will fit in, but then it's about packaging the profile that fits us best. And of course, I play a part in that, but they do a lot of the great work. They watch players over a number of months, so there are various players for each position. So whenever we do lose one, as you see with Gustav as a replacement to come in.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a prime example as well. Like you said, there's been guys in the chat, the guy Udif. He goes on about there's two in the last two games they've played. Basically, there's made long balls in the last two games and under 2 seasons at Ange. And I understand a new manager coming in, he's going to have his own style, but you need to be idiotic to do a black and white change on the way the team plays when it was that successful before.
Aye. You expect him just to come in and tweak a few tweaks, Mikey, wouldn't it?
But that's what I said last week, Mark. Like, he's tweaking when there's similarities the way Rodgers plays. Like, it's all Ange, Mark. Like, it was all possession. Ange like possession, Mark, but he was just all out attack. Brendan Rodgers likes that bit defensive cover in his teams, but tweaking stuff, Mark. No, like it just seems like fucking he changed the whole system the way these Celtic players are playing at the moment. You know, it just doesn't, like Mikey is saying there. Like when he played, Mark, it take him the cup 1 or 2 matches. Mikey, you get the system through training sessions. You know the manager style of play. These players looks like they don't have a clue what they're doing at the moment. You know.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, surely the current manager hasn't got that much an ego to change the playing style that much when you've got a bunch of players that's used to playing a certain style, that's used to winning a certain way. Or otherwise, if that's the case, if you're changing that much, you'll need to change the whole 11, eh? Like with the way Taylor and that were playing last season under Ange and everything, and that they were playing outstanding inverted fullbacks. And obviously, he's went and reverted to a totally different style. And I just don't understand the major change. Like he says, you're not going to just come in and say, right, we'll just continue the way that everybody's playing because you've got your own style. But surely he's not got that much an ego to overcome it that much that there's quite clearly in the team right now major issues tactically.
Well, I've seen somebody, Stephen Hattati, get dropped for the first game of the season. I'm thinking it was that Stephen McGowan, the journalist, but somebody in the chat might know who it was. But they actually came up with this kind of theory that Ange dropped Hattati, and that was him just showing that it was his team rather than Ange's team. I think it was that Stephen McGowan guy that came up with this, and obviously, if that has been a case as well, that's obviously got to put Hatate's back up a bit. But
That's what
I totally agree with what you're saying, Mikey. There was just no need to make such drastic changes.
But you can't even
bring it in gradual.
Mark, like, even the intensity of the team seems to be gone, Mark. And we were saying there with a go, like, with Joe Hart gets the ball, Mark, there's no tendency for him to put the ball up, get the ball out straight away. There's no one looking for the ball off Joe. I saw Joe Hart today with the ball. He was looking around at Madison, Taylor, Navosky, and Lagby to look at who was there to receive the ball. There was no one there. What they do, he hit it loud, Kilmarnock got the ball. Do you know, there's no one there looking for it. As on the Ange, the players were there. You had O'Reilly coming to get the ball. Hitachi was coming to get the ball. McGregor, do you know what I mean? They were all there to receive the ball from Joe Hart. I know Joe Hart might have fucked it up, but they were there to receive it, you know?
What's genuine? Does anybody think in the chat is genuinely worrying as well? That if Hitachi has been 100% fit, obviously he's injured now. He's been fit since the start of the season, and Rodgers has chosen not to play him and play Turnbull instead. That's genuinely worrying to me, yeah.
Yeah.
Because if he genuinely is playing players over Hitachi with the quality Hitachi's got, a blind man can see Hitachi's our best midfielder. So why wouldn't you play him?
You play your best players.
I mean, again, it's just an ego thing as well, because he's like, whatever's been said or what's happening in training, have been like, you play your best team when it's fit. Otherwise, it'll cost you. You know what I mean?
Do we know what you're saying? And Hitachi's away, and Rodgers is saying what other options are there, Mikey? We don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but again, whilst he's there, you play your best team. It's as simple as that. Like,
Turnbull was in form, though. Turnbull was like, when I hear that shit, Turnbull's in form. He won good game against fucking Ross County. Go away from that, Turnbull.
That's what I mean. He showed up good, decent against Ross County, but again, it's Celtic won 4-2 under like great. It's a great 4 goals at home opening day. Blah blah. But that game was a shocker there. Like Ross County dominated a lot of that game, and people say, "Well, we won 4-2. That's great." I'm not saying that. Again, it's great that we won, but when you actually look at the game, it wasn't very promising.
No.
Like against Aberdeen,
you kind of write that off, Mikey, for being a bit rusty for the first game of the season.
Yeah, exactly right.
That's do you know what I mean? The Ross County game, but there was signs there, and there was signs at Aberdeen that it was still just I don't know, struggling to come to grips with what they're meant to be actually doing out in the pitch.
Turnbull is just a prime example of Stephen Welsh. He's just there as a homegrown squad player. It's sad to say, like, in that, you'll be getting paid well in the for it and that, but that's all he is. He's never ever in the team over players like Hitachi and even probably Holman.
But
you know what I mean? Like,
see at that bit then, Mikey, can you know? I mean, you could, right, I tried to bring this up the other night. I still don't know who the wee guy's name is, Mikey. There's a young boy plays for St Mirren that everybody raves about. Do you know who it is? Is it a right back? No. A CDM maybe. I can't mind his name. Right, but there's players, right, see, instead of getting Turnbull to keep your homegrown thing way up, why not a 19-year-old for Dundee United or somebody like Dundee Hearts or something like that? Do you know what I mean? And bring them in to be your homegrown player. Somebody that's going to either they're going to keep your numbers up for Europe. They're going to be better. They're going to better themselves with the better coaches and that at Celtic. And whether they become Celtic first team players or no, they'll have a good grounding and they'll get away in a couple of years and have a good career somewhere else. Instead of being, I mean, if you're 23-year-old and 24-year-old and you're just quite happy to sit there being a squad player or a bit part player for Celtic just because of the money you're getting paid, and that, you question the kind of players' commitment to anything, really, didn't you? Bain either, Pedro saying like Bain, how many times we spoke about Scott Bain just sitting there? Mark O'Hara, that's him, Bobby O'Hara.
But I think he's been about, as he was at Dundee and Motherwell and that, was he? I think he's mid-20s.
Oh, is it then? Oh, right, can he be him then? I recognise that name, but Strain, might be that. But there's players out there in Scotland that are good enough to be our backup players, or third choice, whatever you want to call them, to keep up these kind of these homegrown numbers and stuff like that. You shouldn't be paying guys like David Turnbull and Stephen Welsh a few grand a week just to be, you said, Mikey, just to keep that in place.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking
I've been sorry, Paul.
Right.
I was just like, because I know there's a guys in the chat are going to jump on this and everything like. Like he says, there's three. And I've seen them, and I go to nearly enough every Scotland game. I'm proud to go to all of them as well. And Mark probably knows where I'm going here. And I've talked about it for the last God knows how many years with like Scottish players leave. John McGinn was the first in. And I ken people didn't like Ryan Porteous and like McKenna and that's at Nottingham Forest and that, right? But I've watched Porteous and McKenna and players like that for Scotland now in the last 6 months to a year. And they've been absolutely outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
And they would have been perfect players for Celtic. And Porteous went away with Watford and obviously McKenna's been, and people say, oh, they're donkeys and they're this and they're that. They can't be that bad if they're any of the better Scotland teams in my lifetime,
Aye. And she's
it's a snobbiness, Mark, when it comes to Scottish players and that. That's what it is with certain Celtic fans. It's a snobbiness. That they were genuinely good enough to come to Celtic, in my opinion.
And see that McKenna, when we spoke about when we were like there making me and you spoke about him, and see when I went away and looked him up and that, you just said it to me, he's not the same player that he was when he left Aberdeen.
I watched him there yesterday, Mark, with Nottingham Forest, and he didn't put a foot wrong for Nottingham Forest yesterday. You know, organising the defence. He looked like a leader. Something that we don't have in our back line when Carver Vickers not there, a leader. You know?
Well, not that's what I mean. Nottingham Forest, he starts every week in that. Nottingham Forest is decent lead in the league, McKenna, right? And again, people will say like he says that people aren't sure about them and they've seen them against Celtic and everything and that. I'm only going on me basis me seeing them watching left for Scotland, and then playing national for your national team in the highest levels you can play it, and they stand out a mile at centre back.
Interesting.
So why is it all right to why is it all right to bring KT back and loan for a season, but it's not all right to sign McKenna?
Oh, but
it's snobbiness, Mark, what he said. Do you know what I mean? Because they're looking at the player, Mark, when they watched him last against Aberdeen, they're not seeing the player he has become. He's an improved player, Mark, when he left Aberdeen. Do you know what I mean?
I like McKenna as well. He's got a good left foot on him as well. They're rare centre backs.
Here's an interesting there by you, Deef, Mark, and I don't know what's that. I would have tried Scales at left back. Won't get bullied like Taylor. What would your thoughts be on that?
I mean, Scales couldn't be. Sorry, Scales wouldn't be any worse than Taylor just now. Like, let's be honest. And then, like I said, and I heard Mark say at the start with Taylor, and I've always banged the drum for Taylor the last 2 seasons and stuck up for him. But since the start of the season, including pre-season, he's been well off it. Like, I just don't understand how you can go from being one of the best players. I mean, let's face it, Taylor last season, would he have been challenging for near enough player of the year? Because he was that good all year.
No doubt, yeah.
He was that good all year, Mark, Taylor. To the way he's playing just now. Fuck me, is there more to it, or like what's going on there? Like how bad he's actually been. I mean, even the chat, like it says, even the chat actually did a 360 and agreed that Taylor was in the Celtic's top players.
Aye.
And now he's went reversed back to even worse than before.
He's worse than it, Mike. He's worse. He's a worse player than he was when he was a bit dodgy and he was sticking up for him.
I don't think, Mark, Taylor's. We said it, Mark, when Rodgers came in.
If you say anything about a system again, the new Paul, I'm getting a fair Tony the stains.
He's too slow for fucking the way Rodgers was getting up and down that line.
I think Bernabe would be more suited to a Rodgers type of fullback. I said that even when Rodgers came in before.
I don't know how many times in the last 3 games, Mark, I said it last week and I say it again, he keeps going into the middle of the field and he keeps getting caught in trying to get back down the wings when he doesn't have the pace to do that. Doesn't have the pace to do it. I think Barnaby could have started, Mark, but all this trouble where he slept in and stuff like that. Maybe has that pushed him out the door? Maybe, or
that's a mountain at a molehill, Paul.
I'd be more worried about how that actually made it in the press.
Aye.
Never mind the situation of that.
He's not been in the team either the last couple of weeks.
He's in the squad. He's still been even Paul. That all came out in the paper about he'd been bombed out because he slept in for a team meeting or something like that. Players had stuff like that happens all the time. He'd get Carl McGregor would have fined him. I don't know what his wages are. But he's drunk
20 grand he's on, Mark. It was said at that court case, 20 grand he's on.
He's on 20 grand a week.
Yeah, it was on that court
case.
Is
that not a month?
20 grand a week.
I don't know about that.
It came
But
out
anyway, he'd have got fined. He'd have got fined a couple of grand. It would have into the fine fund that gets. Don't know if they still use it for a kind of piss up day out or whether it goes to charity or not. He'll have got fined off of Callum McGregor. He'll have got a shake of the head off of Brendan Rodgers and sent to train with under 21s for a day. That's his punishment, and that was that. But forgot about stuff like that happens all the time, Paul. That was just actually in the press. In my opinion, that was just in the press because they knew that the verdict in his drunk driving thing was coming up. I mean, if you're drunk driving, you're an idiot. You're one of the biggest complete arseholes ever to walk the earth if you're stupid enough to drink and drive, in my opinion. But he done that, and it was as if they knew that was coming out, so we might as well, we can dig out this other bad story. But as Mikey says, where did that come from? What have other players been fined for this season and stuff like that? An absolute non-story that was, in my opinion.
Every single week in every football changing room, for junior up to when I played, somebody gets fined once a week for doing something.
Aye,
guaranteed.
Pedro said it's a month. I thought they said it was a week. Sorry about that.
But
it's just a natural thing in a dressing room, isn't it, Mikey?
I understand like Pedro and whatnot in the chat saying about Taylor's too small and lightweight, and people are targeting him, and he was playing inverted, so that was different last season. And that doesn't mean you forget how to play football.
How you forget how to pass the ball to fit in front of you.
I mean, he wasn't too light and too small for the last 18 months, but now he is too light and too small. So what's the difference?
I think he gave one or two good passes today, but throughout the match, his kind of distribution was very poor. All the players' distribution today was very poor. We just seem to be giving. As Taylor's
head went down, Paul, Mikey, do you think maybe? I mean, everybody in the place is crying out that we need a new left back and stuff. Does Taylor know we're bringing in a new left back? His head went down and he's not quite.
As a professional football player, if you're even linked with somebody, there's two things that would probably happen. You'd raise your game to a level that you think, well, no, we didn't need a left back. Mm-hmm. Or two, you're knocking your pan in and still playing well because if somebody else comes in, you've got a move ahead of you that could be as good.
Aye.
You didn't just down. I didn't think it is the case that you was down.
No, I'm just throwing it out there. Could it be that? Do you know what I mean?
I just think, like he says, there's been some form of, I don't know if he's been mismanaged or. But then you can say that about a few of them because look at Ralston. Ralston under Ange was like a world beater. He was keeping Juranovic. Like when we sold Juranovic, Ralston was like Juranovic wasn't even a starter because Ralston was that good. And then Ralston again has went back to like before Ange. So like, was Ange that good a manager that he was able to get that good out average players, or is there something in the camp that isn't right?
But it turns out it wasn't that much of a man manager, Mikey. You know what I mean? All these stories come out. I mean, it's quite obvious that Matt O'Reilly had a bit of a problem with Ange. Is that what was affecting him last season?
To torture and stuff like that.
I've said it before, Paul. I think I've said it on the podcast. But he came in. I read a story and it was a player that played with Ange under his Australian. The club team was at Melbourne City, was with or something.
Yeah.
And then when he eventually went and played under him for Australia, and he asked one of his assistant coaches if I'd done something to upset the gaffer. He was like, I go, no, that's annoying that. I'll go and ask him. And he went up and said to his ex-player so-and-so, I wonder if he's done something to upset you. You've no spoke to him all through this trip. And Ange turned around and said something like, well, tell me to worry when I do want to speak to him. Do you know what I mean? As if you're doing well, he'll no talk to you, but if you're doing right, he's going to ball you out of it.
Mm-hmm. I remember actually I heard that, Mark. Yeah, I heard that story.
So I don't know whether Ange was that.
But like that's why, Mark, I think the Celtic players should be feeling better. Is the man management, the coaching that Brendan Rodgers will give it. Like I can take. From what you hear of Brendan Rodgers, Mark, he'd put a shoulder around there and he'd put a hand around there, give you that encouragement and so. I'm actually very surprised where we're playing under Brendan Rodgers lately.
It doesn't seem as if there's any kind of unity here. And it's like you say, certain players and that, managers will come out and say, "Oh, I trust him, I trust so and so. He'd run through a brick wall for me. I can rely on him and stuff like that." The way the Celtic team's playing the news, it's as if there is maybe some kind of problem. No, not a major problem. Is it just with the change in the culture of the club or something like that? There's just a few wee sticking points or something like that. I mean, I've seen people on Twitter today saying, Rodgers doesn't look happy. I can't see him being here the full season and shit like that. That's a lot of nonsense.
Or the cracks have been to pair, Mark, and something going on behind the scenes and stuff like that.
I mean, getting out that cup today there's no excuses whatsoever for it. Nothing at all. You can't stay because of the pitch or anything. Just Celtic were garbage today, and that's how they went out the cup. And just like everybody else, but I'm just holding on to the hope, Paul, that we 10, 11 days left in the transfer window. These players are at the kind of level that it's not even as if we're just sitting.
But
there
we're
not talking about pipe dreams, Paul. We're only we're being realistic about it.
But Mark, we saw this about these players before, even under Ange, Mark, and I've said it loads of times well, that the players kind of dictated what tempo they play in certain matches. Do you know, and it seemed like that again today, Mark, on the plastic pitch day. It was just this slow tempo. And we've seen under Ange as well, Mark, against Livingston, against Mark T, slow tempo, passing sideways, backwards, and we could have 95% possession, Mark, but then when you look at it, it was all back, sideways. You know, it was nothing going forward. There was nothing today that gave you encouragement, like what Mickey's dad was saying. We could be in there all day today, we wouldn't have scored a goal, you know.
There's no many times that Celtic have played in the last God knows how many years where you thought, fucking hell, we could. There's no danger we're going to score here today against a Scottish team, and that was exactly the case today. And like I say, it was a cup. Like I say, no, that makes it any easier if it was a league game or that. But at least if it was early doors, a defeat like Ange last year, a couple of defeats in the league and whatnot, early doors, you can bounce back. Once you're bit in the cup, that's you done. And I think that's what's more like a signal of the day is the fact that it's the cup and we're out of. And I kind of like, and this isn't a privileged thing. Oh, we won the treble like the last 7 out of 9. Like we won the Viaplay Cup the last 7 out of 9, and blah blah blah. You can take getting bit for a lot better team that's outplayed you, but the day wasn't the case. You were bit because
we didn't turn up.
Underperforming team. I think Kilmarnock with the Kilmarnock had 1 or 2 shots on target.
Yeah, but their goal was...
They had 4 shots on target, Mike, and beat 3. Evening, Anton. Nice to see you, mate. I think that's a new name. Thanks very much for coming in, Anton, 22.
You know, like going back and it came up in the live chat there, you know, and it wasn't even looked at, was that elbow and Taylor. You know?
I thought that was...
Yeah.
Is that not one of the things VAR can look at? Is that not one of the things you can look at? Violent conduct?
Yeah, and they didn't.
I mean, even who was the commentator on Viaplay today?
Stewart.
Was it Michael Stewart? I thought it was Ali McCoist. I thought it was the slug. But even he mentioned it as well after. He says the guy had kind of done him had a wee bit of afters in that way.
Something on him, left his elbow on top of him, like you could see. Back of Taylor's ear was pumping and everything, like, and I thought VAR were very quick. He even said, Stuart says, this VAR decision will take a long while because it's very, very close. And when he finished, the VAR decision was already made. You know, the quickest VAR decisions I ever saw in the SPL.
I was shocked when they played 7 minutes injury time. I'm all right enough.
Yeah, they could have played fucking 10 minutes, Mark, and we still wouldn't have fucking scored, I say.
No.
You know,
well, I just like you say, we keep saying,
striker? Like, do we need a striker? Do we need another striker coming?
Yeah, but me and Mark were talking about this before the podcast started regarding strikers. And I want people in the chat to get involved with this as well. How many strikers do we currently have at the club?
Well,
because I tell you one, Kyogo, that isn't even a striker.
Mm-hmm.
So the answer's right there. And O's, again, he's flat. I'm not sure about him either, but he's injured anyway for months. As it currently stands right now, in the starting squad for strikers, we've got none of the quality to lead the line.
Open up number 9, yeah.
Because I didn't agree that Kyogo is a striker. Like I say, there's a big difference between a strike. There's a big difference between a striker and a forward.
Aye. Yeah.
And that's what people seem to get mistaken. Like, there's a big difference there. And like it says, the day would have been a perfect one for a big boy to come on. If you're going to be swinging balls in the box like that, last chance alone, the day you might as well just put a defender up front. Because there was no danger anybody else was winning any bars apart from Kilmarnock today. We're crying out for another top striker.
We were talking about earlier, Mikey, and I've spoken about it on podcasts and that before, Paul. Lee Griffiths, Gary Hooper. You know what I mean, guy?
And that's going to be, that knows where the ball's going to go.
Just that killer instinct that strikers have got. For me, Kyogo's no got that instinct.
The best about Gary Hooper, Mark, was he anticipated, and G. Marcus was the same, that the keeper was going to save it and he was going to parry it out, and he was in that position for that keeper to save. You know, that instinct that the next step was going to happen, and he was there to get the rebound. We don't have that at the moment, you know.
And another one I'm crying out for as well, like see the hold in midfield, like a dog in the middle of the pitch. You know what I mean? Ever since Scott Brown left, it's been a problem position. Ever since Scott Brown left, like you said, it's been a position that has been crying out.
Would you like to see maybe home in that McGregor position, Mickey? You know?
I personally didn't think, like, again, people are different, and it's early days for the guy in that, but I didn't think home was coming in to be even close to being a starter this season. Like, I thought he would have been, like you said, given the odd game here and there and whatnot and that, but like, again, I never presumed that he was bought to start to just again. I might be mistaken with that, like, but I just expected, like he says, the transfers to be made this season to be of a total different caliber than the ones that have came in. Like you say, the fact, and it was one of the first seasons.
Sorry, Mike, can you go?
Sorry, it was one of the first seasons as well that you knew what money was coming in. Like you're guaranteed the Champions League qualifier, so you know what money is there to be spent. Jota deal was done pretty early in the window. Like you knew what money you had sitting. And it wasn't like previous when we've been in the earlier rounds and we were like, we need to manage the finances and like the qualification, then we'll get a few boys in. We've known for since the end of last season when we were in the league that we were in the Champions League. We knew what money was there. So that's what I mean. And that's what a few months ago, like McTominay and boys like that were getting mentioned, and like you said, like there was Livakovic and Pedenza, and now it's just back to project signings like years ago. 1 million, £2 million players again, and that's never going to get you anywhere. We're never going to win the Champions League or that. I understand that, but it would be good to see some progression.
Aye.
That's all you want to see from your football team. Is progression.
It's not as if we're expecting we've got £50 million in the bank, so we'll get and sign a £40 million striker. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's just crazy talk. Do you know what I mean? But just up that level, Mike. I keep saying it. Even down to the transfer fees don't really matter that much if you're offering good enough wages. Transfer fees can get negotiated and balanced out of length of contract stuff and everything. Do you know what I mean? So it's the wages that we pay.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Celtic as a football club should be looking at
2 seconds, Mikey. Good night, Bobby, mate. Thanks very much again for all your work on that, pal. Good night, bud.
Like, see, like the Europa League and that, which I personally think is Celtic's level. Celtic should be looking to get into the later stages of that.
Shouldn't we?
Yeah, and 100%.
But see, Steve, is it next season the new Champions League format kicks in? All that dropping down competitions ends.
Well, that's correct. I agree with that anyway. If you're in the Champions League and you go out in a certain qualifier, you shouldn't be going into another European competition. If you're out, you're out. That's been like that for years.
I believe because even the amount of teams that are in it and that, all this kind of third place and dropping down stuff and everything, that's all out the window come next season. So if you're in the Champions League, it's that or bust kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's I think I said before, Mark, it's going to be something like the first two will kind of qualify, like the winners of groups, they will play the runners up, and then the third teams, they will kind of go into a playoff group. You know, like a once-off playoff, then to get into the knockout stages. I think it's going to be something like that in the Champions League, but it's I don't think they kind of know themselves what way they're going to do it yet, but that was kind of one of the rumours that they were kind of saying at the time. You know.
That's what I mean.
Like,
Like,
a lot of Rangers and mediocre players, and that's right, isn't it?
that's what I mean. Like, I'm just like looking like, and I keep banging, and I've banged this Livakovic's drum for a lot longer than the last year because he's that good a goalkeeper. He's like he says, in my opinion, he's one of the best goalkeepers in Europe, and he was available for €9 million for Dynamo Zagreb. Like, I genuinely like between Pedenza and Livakovic, the fees mentioned, if you bought they two, would be under 20 million. About 20 million, which is what the sell Jota for €30 million. And then people can say, well, it's not all 30 million, it's structured. All deals are structured, but the end of like Livakovic, if you bought Livakovic and Pedenza, it's still 10 million less than what Jota cost.
Aye.
And people can go on about wages and everything that blah blah whatever. Like, I just genuinely don't understand if Livakovic and his agent again did say that he was happy to talk to Celtic. Why the fuck would you not make that deal happen when you know it's a major problem position?
They're rebels saying Livakovic is off to Turkey now.
Has that fell true again, Mark?
Many times has that been in the press reported that Livakovic is signed for Fenerbahce?
Yeah, well, at the same time, that's what I mean. Like, the Celtic's been in for him, And then even if that is the case about Livakovic, right, that he is away to Turkey, fair enough. It's still a major problem position that's still not been rectified since pre-season. Because nobody's going to try and insult me right now by telling me that Joe Hart is good enough to be Celtic number one. I've said that about 3 or 4 times on the podcast now when I've been on. I'm actually boring myself now. But it's actually worrying having a goalkeeper like that in Europe. I was across in Leipzig, paid hundreds of pounds to go across to Germany, and Celtic were very much in that game until fucking Joe Hart kicked it out to their player in the score there to make it 2-1.
Do you know,
he's cost us so many times, Joe Hart.
Do you know when it was actually, remind me there what you were saying, Mickey, there, how Kilmarnock grew confidence in that game today when it was a missed kick from Joe Hart, when he kicked the ball out and went straight to Kilmarnock player and came under pressure, and Kilmarnock kind of got confidence from that mistake. They kind of grew more and more into the game as the game went on. You know, was a poor Joe Hart kick out again today. I think someone put up in the live chat at the time, Mark, a Joe Hart special again today. You know,
That's what I mean with Joe Hart. See if you were like that Lager Bielka and Narovsky, and that's what I mean. Their early days in their Celtic career, they guys must be fucking shiting themselves with him in the goal like that. The way that he passes it for the back and that, and it's alright people saying, "Oh, well, he gets asked to do that," like, hey, but if you were that like Lager Bielka, then that was your goalkeeper behind you. I didn't give you a toss about Joe Hart 10 years ago. No, you know what I mean, like you say, Joe Hart, as it stands right now, is an abomination a goalkeeper like that.
Well, going by kind of reports, what Roger was saying, kind of during the week, right, this is his last year that he wants to kind of go home and finish out his career before he retires. Mark, I think that's you said something about that as well recently, didn't you? That he wants to kind of go back down and finish out the last year or two down in England.
I don't know.
What team was this? What he started his was it Rochdale or something like that?
Aye. There was something about I can't even to it was. Who was it, Mikey? You maybe know off the top of your head who Joe Hart started with. Was it Burnley?
No, Joe Hart started his career way back at Shrewsbury.
Was it Shrewsbury?
Yeah. That's why he wants to go down and finish it in his last couple of years. I think he wants to go back down and finish his career.
That's where he's faying to. That's his home club kind of thing.
I could have went because you Deef just went and said that Celtic will never spend 20 million on 2 players. How not? I genuinely want to understand why that wouldn't be the case.
It's hard to believe in the way inflation has rose over the last couple of years and things that Celtic's record bid is still only 9 million on Edward. You know, it's really hard.
That's what I mean. Like if you've taken nearly 30 million euros for one player, and like you said, the Champions League money, why wouldn't you spend 20 million pound on 2 players that are quality players? In this like current climate with transfers and that's a good deal for near enough guaranteed quality. Yeah?
That's what I mean with that. Aye.
Is it Marcus? Is it just me? But I just like us to take a break from the Asian market at the moment. I know it's done us well and stuff like that, but I'd like to see kind of more European-based players come into the squad. Would you agree with that, or
Did you see Asian players, Paul?
like that kind of
Asian, I think
Yeah,
you
but
said
Asian market, like content, you know?
Yeah, but the worry was if we kept going in that market, well, we're going to end up at a point where like 8-9 boys were going away to Japan
Exactly.
once a month for international. It was just never going to work. But that's what I mean. Like I say it's, and then people say it's an overreaction to a bad result. This isn't an over. I've been banging the drum for this transfer market now since pre-season, and it's been the writing's been on the wall right from the start when the businesses were getting done early. And like I say, the fact that we're only a week and a bit away from the transfers, it's shocking.
Stephen is saying aging there, sorry, it's aging, like the continent. That's what I meant, not aging players, you know. Good point here by Rebels. Celtic never seem to build on a position of strength, and I think that's kind of something that we're kind of talking about now, Mikey, isn't this? You know,
It's true, and it's 100% true, and that's why I'm getting, like he says, I'm getting more and more. Again, I don't want to keep swearing that, but I don't want to like pissed off because like you can see it in front of you happening, and just when you think Celtic are getting to a point of progression as a football club and getting better players and progressing, it just gets taken away from you.
It's like,
even if it's a case of players kind of dragging their heels, Mikey, or even going back to Livakovic if he's waiting for Croatia Zagreb to go to the Champions League or whatever and that. But it's even amongst all these young signings and the so-called projects, as we call them, and that, even if there's been like just one signing that kind of caught your imagination a wee bit, there must have been a player out there that Celtic were interested in that could have kind of sparked a bit of fire in the fans' belly that they could have brought in. I mean, there's that Antonio we were linked with. I've said umpteen times that would be ideal. A player like that, and at that age, or a young guy, that's who you want for your third striker. And he'd have been a cracking signing. But even at that, Mickey, if we brought him in, right, it wouldn't have been set the head on fire. But we could have understood that. And amongst all these kind of young projects and that, an actual player that right away you know who he is, you know what he can do. You've seen him enough.
But it's been like since pre-season, since Rodgers has came in, it's been obvious that we've needed a goalkeeper, left back, right back, dog, striker, winger. What have we did? Just brought in projects. That's what I mean, and that's the annoyance. We've just
there seems to be no spine to the team. So there doesn't. If you take Carl Vickers out of that team, there's.
But it was like that with Ange, was it? Like Stephen Carter Vickers was out last season. It was notable that we struggled there without him there. And that's what I mean. Like the Narovski was definitely brought in, like he says, to as Starfelt's replacement. But like he says, guys like Lagerbielke and players like that, they weren't brought in to be starters. They're there to be squad players and build their way into the team. The same as that's what I mean. This season we never needed project signing. We needed quality and experience brought in. And like I says, in Europe and that, you want guys that have maybe played at that level. Like I say, with Podence and that with Olympiacos. He played Champions League every season for Olympiacos there and stood out a mile. That's how he ended up at Wales. Livakovic, again, goalkeeper.
You know what, Mikey, if he went down and signed him, that'd be some statement by Celtic there, you know, that really would, like, you know.
But that's what me, like, I was talking with Mark weeks ago, and we were talking about signings, and that's what I said to him at the time. And like you said, I don't care, like you said, coming up for 37, I sometimes get excited when you're linked to a player, maybe in the press, you think, I would love that. That's never happened of late. And then when you get players like Podence and that, you think, actually, we're maybe going to turn the corner here.
Yeah. Like, do you know, like, the thing about Celtic as well, it takes them to lose something for them to react. Like, do you think maybe Rodgers' comments today saying we need quality? Do you see Rodgers' signs a match pre-conference after the match, Mike? You know, he said this team lacks a bit of quality in that final third. we need kind of more quality players. Was that kind of Roger saying to the players like the board, like I need more players. I need ready players to come into the first team rather than these project signings.
Well, if that's the case, though, but it shouldn't be at the stage in the first place. Because there's absolutely no reason off the back of a treble winning season and guaranteed Champions League football that we should be at the stage we are.
It's kind of getting worrying now. Like it's kind of getting worrying now.
But the thing is,
Paul, going into the transfer window, Mark, isn't it?
But the thing is, Paul, right? Rodgers has come out and said that, right? We need more quality in the final third. But this, Mikey said that this is a team that won the treble last year. We've lost Jota, we've lost Starfelt, that half the support wanted Shotty, and we've lost Aaron Moy, that I think he get more praise than he actually deserved for doing a good 3 months in his Celtic career, kind of thing. So I don't even think that was a kind of losing Moy weakness as such. So basically we've lost Jota, and Brendan Rodgers had just pinned all the problems in the day's game on Jota leaving. We've not got enough quality in the final third. So if he's a manager, it's up to him then to get these players in that are quality then. What does that say? What does that say about Rodgers' opinion of Kyogo? Abada,
that's what I'm saying, Mark. Yeah, exactly. Does Rodgers actually see what you're saying, Mark, that Kyogo isn't this out-and-out striker that people are saying he is? Do you know, does Rodgers actually see that? And that's what he's kind of saying. We need more quality in the final third. Like, he's basically saying, Mark, we need to take our chances, and we're not taking chances. How many times have you said that about Kyogo last season, Mark? Kyogo would have about 6 chances in a match when he could have scored 4, then he only scores 1. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
That's my point. Like, does Rodgers actually, like, Rodgers is a good manager, Mark, and he sees these things. I think Rodgers sees these things. Is he actually already having a dig at the board on the scum recruitment already, do you think?
Well, Paul, say that again.
I said, do you actually think Rodgers is actually having a dig at the recruitment already? You know?
Well, he might be. Maybe, I mean, see if it is the club dragging its heels or the players that they're after dragging their heels or whatever. If the manager's quite entitled to be a bit pissed off about it, because the last person that faults it's going to be is the manager. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So they're wanting players. Hopefully they're wanting players in, and it's nothing to do with what we're doing that's holding these deals up.
Like, I always remember a Rodgers team, Mark, right? All these teams, they all had a player in the midfield that would play in the tackle. He'd Scott Brown, I think. He'd Ndidi at Leicester, like you obviously, Mark, you would have saw Ndidi play. He always had that player that's not afraid to go in and get a tackle. And it's early days yet. Maybe Home could be that player, Mark, who puts in that tackle. But at the moment, we don't know. Celtic don't have that, and we haven't had that player, Mark, since Scott Brown left, have we? You know?
No. Is that indeed still with Leicester? Aye.
Yeah, he's there. Yeah.
Yeah, there's still. I think people are saying he's out of contract, Mark, but I think they have an option themselves to extend that by another year. You know what I mean? So I can't see him leaving them for pittance. Like, they'd want good money for him. I said, Mickey, would they? NDD?
I still think he would command a decent fee, but again, if the money's there, then just pay it, because it's what we need. You can't just keep shopping bargain basements forever. You're going to get found out.
Yeah, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, I just don't see players coming in being Rodgers players, Mark. Like, that's the point I was trying to make early on. Like, Rodgers likes these players that would put in a boot, and at the moment we're signing players, Mark, that looks to me that they don't put in the boot. You know, not physical players. You know.
Aye.
These flair players make that might have a trick up them, and do you know what I mean? But there's no player there at the moment for me that would grab a game by the scruff of the neck and change the game for Celtic, is there? You know,
players like that. Pedenza, like, he's got a year left on his deal at Wolves, and he's training with the reserves. How hard could that? I mean, surely that deal wouldn't be hard to be made.
And the best thing about that, Michael, as well, is that Wolves want them off the books. Wolves want them off their books because Wolves need to sell players before they can buy players. And he's one of the players they want out of the club. So they're willing to sell and they're willing to negotiate. And it could be a great time for Celtic to go in there and get this player for a decent fee, you know?
I just like, how could you go for like 4 or 5 weeks ago getting linked to McTominay and Fabian Ryder for Young Boys Bern and that, to getting linked to where the players are now. Like, it's mental, like, yeah. And people say it's paper talk, blah, 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 but like Fabian Ryder and that Young Boys, and I don't know if he's ended up moving on to anybody else or that, but that's the kind of players that Celtic should be going in for to progress as a football club. No, I mean, like, but that's another, like, players like that Ryder that they were actually like linked to. That was one of them that was exciting. Like, getting linked to players like that. I think it was close to going to Mönchengladbach, but that fell through. You know what
I mean? You know what? I'm looking at the players we signed so far this season, and I can only think about, at the moment, I haven't seen a lot of Lager Beatle yet, but hopefully he think. But I can only see Novosti and Home actually stepping up in about a year or two, Mark, that would make the progress at Celtic. The other two, I like how far, like Tilios, he came in, he was fucking injured, you know.
Yeah, so you can't really say how you think he's going to do if you've never seen him playing. Do you know what I mean?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, I haven't
seen the Australian Young Player of the Year.
You know, like, but I've heard good things about him. Like, but Christ, like the injury just seems to be piling up at the moment, don't they? And we brought in this new doctor as well. Like, and fucking hell, like the injury just are piling up. You know.
Don't know you can do to stop that, Paul.
I know that, like, but Mark, you think fitness levels would have been like brilliant on the edge, like, I mean,
but you still get injured if you're fit. I
know that, yeah, but Jesus Christ, like, we've just been so unlucky with injuries, like, haven't we? You know, like, I know St Johnston's on his way back as well. He's kind of going back to kind of.
Aye, he's back training now. Aye,
full training, like, you know, like he'll be a welcome addition to the squad, Mikey, wouldn't he?
Oh, he's a great right. Like I say, he's one of the better right. But he's one of the better right backs that I've seen in a while at Celtic. Like,
So we could try, even if Carter Vickers is out, we could try AJ at centre back.
At least, Mark, you have someone who fucking talk to that defence. Like, I mean, there seems to be like the Vasquez seems to kind of stepped up to the kind of taking that leadership role. But you expect players who have been there before, Taylor and Valston, stepping up and taking leadership in that back line when you have two centre backs there. But Jesus Christ, they haven't stepped up at all. You know, it's ridiculous. Like, you know, are you worried about the week and a half left in transfer window? Are you confident Celtic will bring in players? Mikey, or?
No, I'm absolutely not remotely like enthused about the remaining week. I just think the business should have been done by now. We shouldn't be at this point in the transfer window and we're still crying out for players. There's no reason to be this far behind. So,
I totally agree with that. I'm not that. I'm more worried, but I'm still hopeful that by the time the window shuts, everything falls into place. But I agree with Mike. What's happened so far in the window's not exactly been overwhelming. Do you know what I mean? It's, as I said just earlier on, if we could just to get kind of one bigger signing in, a bit of half decent fee and a name that we all knew right away without having to go and look up YouTube videos and scouting reports and stuff on players in that. It just seems to be it's like flex for muscle. Means, right, we're not, like you said earlier, we're never going to win the Champions League, right? But we can still flex our muscle, like domestic wise, to make sure that we're well in front of anything we're going to come up against in Scotland, and then hopefully that we've done enough to give us a wee bit of credibility in the Champions League this year, or just in Europe in general, whether it's a third place finish and doing into Europa or whatever, and then again you build on it next year if you're into Champions League and buy another couple of players that'll take you, improve the team to another level.
Like Ghent.
Aye.
Like what they did over the years, Mark, yeah. You know, that's how they got into this thing. Like they did exactly what you were saying there. Like, you know what I mean? They built up, like, going by homegrown players there. The do English players count as homegrown players in Scotland, or is it just has to be Scotland-based players or what?
It's not. I don't think so much nationality is it. It's no like how long they've been at the club at youth or something, or training or something like that.
Aye.
You know.
But I'm just looking at players, like you said. I'm just because I was looking through players that Celtic can be linked with, and that was another one. Hibs won the game because Hibs were well better than that. Zurich, I think it is. Luzerne, that Hibs just beat in the Conference League, and they were linked to that Jasari, another like holding like centre mid. And I watched him over the both games against Hibs and for that team, and he stood out an absolute mile away. What a player! And there's another player that Celtic were linked with for €7 million. That just went quiet as well. And you wonder about all these players, like if there was ever anything in it, or it was just paper talk.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because that's where we're crying out for that position.
One thing I do say, and I say the good about the Celtic board is they do always kind of keep their transfer dealings quiet until the kind of last minute. Then they kind of get the kind of hints kind of come out then in the media. You know, like I couldn't tell you who Celtic targets are at the moment, Mark. You know, or what we're looking at, who we're looking at.
See the thing about it. It's like Celtic will speak to 100 agents even before transfer windows open, and see just because Celtic make an inquiry and like agents will leak it that Celtic's after them because Celtic's maybe just made an inquiry about them and stuff like that, and that gets into the press and stuff. Every team, no matter what level they're at, kind of scouts and chases hundreds of players. It doesn't mean that they're going to sign them all. They can inquire about a player and the player's no interested. The transfer fee's too high, the wages are too high. But it's just because Celtic's asked about X player doesn't mean that they're actually after them as such. So it's kind of, you've got to kind of separate what is it they call it, the wheat for the chaff, as it you say. Do you know what I mean? Because there is a lot of nonsense that gets put out there, but the majority of it has probably got a certain amount of truth in it. That Celtic have asked about such a player or this guy or whatever, but it doesn't mean there's actually been any serious kind of talks. And then when they go and sign for somebody else, it's Celtic messed up, or that's just because Peter Lawwell's back, we didn't sign him and stuff like that. And it's not anything to do with that. I mean, we've seen it. How many times have we seen it? In Celtic were signing a player, and everybody in the place knew it. The press and everyone knew it. And then at the last minute, there was a hitch, and all of a sudden it didn't happen. So all summer there's probably been these deals that Celtic's been close to doing, and for whatever reason they've not actually come off.
Whether they're saying could agents try to bump up prices? Of course they could, because they kind of want to get their own percentage as well of that transfer fee, don't they? You know, the agents kind of fees and stuff like that.
Plus as well, I mean, it's not even just bumping the prices up. They're maybe saying, right, supposing Celtic's got a deal with Livakovic lined up, right? I'm not saying they have that, but supposing they have, and it's just ready to get signed, sealed and delivered, maybe they'll turn around and just turn their agent saying, or just hold off, you might get a better offer. Or Fenerbahce's offering you $2,000 a week more than that. Or right, we'll tell Celtic that, right? Or they're Celtic offering you $3,000 a week more. Or we'll go and tell Fenerbahce. Do you know what I mean? Agents are sneaky Russian bastards, man. They're worse than Boris the Bullet Dodger. You off, Mikey, mate? No bother, bud. Thanks very much for coming on, Mikey. Really appreciate that, bud. I'll speak to you tomorrow, bud. Right. Good night, mate. Good night.
Chev going 2 weeks at Ibrox with no fans. If the last to Rodgers will be under pressure big time. Don't mind about that. He said that they'll get pumped by PSV before us, and then we pump them. Don't worry about that. I'm very confident that this is a wake-up call to these Celtic players, and you know it's a wake-up call to maybe Rodgers as well and stuff like that. But no way. I ain't worried about that.
Hopefully, Paul, that's the way you look at it. That it is a wake-up call.
It is. I think it is, Mark. You know that. You know.
As you said, to the players, to the manager, even to the guys in charge of the transfers up above and that. But it's even, Paul, let's be honest about it, we're saying that. But see, with the Celtic we shouldn't have needed that wake-up call today. We should have been able to put a squad together today that's more than capable of beating Kilmarnock. And let's be honest, Paul, We were
I
never,
put
we were
more-
never at the races. We
I
were
put
really
this
never
more
at
on
the
the
races.
players, Mark, rather than Rodgers. I put this more on the players. Like, we've saw it so many times, even on the Ange, Mark, and we saw on the players decide what tempo they're going to play.
Aye.
Next week, now at Celtic Park against St Johnstone, Mark, we'll probably see a high tempo style of play, and we'll probably beat St Johnstone comfortably. Do you mean they pick and choose? Do you know what I mean? Like, one player I'm very, very surprised at, Mark, on today's performance is our captain, Cal McGregor. Like, I saw no leadership from him today. No leadership. No the leadership to get in the ball, to pass the ball, to get up the field. I saw nothing for that from him today. And
I
that
thought he's been
more
poor.
concerning things today, Mark. You know?
I thought he's been poor, Paul, for even pre-season. I thought McGregor's been poor. And people said the other week, he was playing with Turnbull. Do you know what I mean? When Turnbull wasn't playing too well, but I had to cover for Turnbull and that ball. Who was covering for Cal McGregor today?
Home was. He was actually the
McGregor.
one that was staying back. Yeah, Home was actually staying back. McGregor was what kind of I saw today.
McGregor's definitely. I mean, we all know what Cal McGregor's capable of, and he's capable a hell of a lot better than he put in the day. So we're not writing the guy off. He's just not been playing up to scratch the last few games.
Do you know?
And whether it's, I still think, Paul, but we said it earlier on, and I still maintain it, that not just the midfield, Paul, the full teams are just not enough physicality in it. Because Cal McGregor can't do the physical side of stuff.
He's saying that again today, Mark. He got booked again today, Mark, trying to do for a tackle. You saw, and it was the same attack that Aberdeen had last week. 1-on-1 with Cal McGregor, and his only option was to take down the player and foul the player. He can't do that more, Mark. No. And the sooner, the better. Rodgers sees that, like, you know what I mean?
But Ange was the same way. Do you know what I mean?
Ange, Mark, didn't we? But under Rodgers, Mark, he always had that player that, like I said, where to go. He had Scott Brownie and then Didi. Do you mean he always had that player that's going to put in, get the ball, get the tackles that's helping out the back line. At the moment, Mark, if you get past our press, I'm saying press, there's no press there at the moment. If you get past our front three players, you're going to get past the midfield straight away because there's no one in there to put in that tackle. And straight away, the back line's under pressure. You know,
did Andy's inverted fullback system cover that, Paul?
I think so, Mark, yeah. You know what I mean? Because you had Madison, you had Taylor, Mark, coming into that back line to help out McGregor, and Rodgers doesn't want that. And that's how we got cut out today, Mark, was because Kilmarnock were going down the wings, and Taylor was cutting into the inverted full back role. Do you know what I mean? He kept going into the inverted full back role throughout the whole game. And then he realises, Mark, that the ball has gone down the wings of this fella Armstrong, who I thought just terrorised Taylor all day today, that young lad Armstrong. Terrorised him.
He's in 18 or something like that, I've seen somebody say.
Mark, and he terrorised Taylor. Terrorised him. By the time Taylor realised, Mark, that the ball's gone down the wing, he didn't have the pace from the inverted full back row to get back left back. And when he was at left back, he was getting torn too easily, Mark. You know what I mean? Your left back shouldn't be getting taught like that at all.
No.
You know, it's concerning. Like, and I like Taylor, Mark, and you know, I don't want to give him fucking slagging all the time. But Mark, if a player's not playing well, Mark, you have to call it out.
Definitely.
You know, have to call it out, like, you know, and that's like calling out Cal McGregor today as well.
There's probably people like, raging, they're slagging off Cal McGregor. We're not slagging him off, we're just saying he's not playing well, and he hasn't for the last few weeks. For whatever reason.
I even saw Kyogo, Mark, coming into the freaking midfield to receive the ball, trying to get involved in the game. Do you know what I mean? You know, freaking hell, like.
But it's just, I mean, people, see if that was a league game, Paul, you kind of can just put it down to a bad day at the office. But that the day is, we've gave up the first trophy available this season. That's what's stunning me about it.
It's this mentality, Mark. Is it the mentality of the players going onto this plastic pitch of fear of injury? And that's why Celtic over the years, Mark, they never perform. And I know we got wins them here and there, Mark, and stuff like that. We got wins there on the Ange, but is it the fear of these plastic pitches getting into the mentality of the players or over injury, do you think? Like the game, anytime we play these pitches, Mark, to me it looks like the game's already lost before it started. And that's what it looked like today.
No,
The game was lost before it was even started because of the pitch. I'm not making excuses the pitch, Mark. I'm just saying, does that affect the mentality of the players? Because of the tempo we played today and slow and thing and.
but again, Paul, it shouldn't.
No, it shouldn't. No.
I mean, it's like,
do you think maybe that's
right,
could that have happened? Like,
right, Paul, right, going back years, right, be John Paul McBride, right, be John Paul McBride could do what he done on grass, that he could do on plastic, that he could do on the wood and flare down the five-a-sides pitch down the Fairhill Civic. Do you know what I mean? See, the pitch doesn't help if you're trying to like play kind of a fluid game, but the actual individual player's ability shouldn't change. Because they're playing on that kind of pitch doesn't mean that they shouldn't be able to pass the ball 2 years in front of their teammate and stuff like that.
They couldn't even pass the ball today, Mac. That's the problem. No. That's what I was very like. Rodgers' style of play, Mark, you know yourself, like it's all possession based. Pass the ball, keep possession, move the ball forward, look for the space. But we would do none of that today, Mark. We couldn't pass the ball 2 yards.
No, but that's all. And that's all right, Paul. Right, that's all right when you're playing against teams that are coming up to like try and have a go against you. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Right, he went down and played with Leicester, right? But Leicester are playing against teams. The majority of the teams, it was a 50-50 game. Leicester could win it, or the other team could win it. So he could play that kind of possession game, try and draw the other team out, and then try to get the.
But you know the team's not going to come out, Mac. Yeah,
that's the difference, Paul. The team's only going to come out to us. Do you know what I mean? So again, and back to what Anne's done, we've got to be in the front foot and take the game to them, pressure them, keep the pressure on them, and we just don't do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Mark. We didn't. You know what I mean? Like Kilmarnock, Mark, looked like the team that was pressing us today, Mark. They were pressing us, and we just like we didn't know what to do. When teams pressing us, Mark, we don't know what to do. We really don't. You know, and that's something Rodgers needs to sort out, Mark. If we're under pressure, how are we going to react to that? You know.
But that's when you bring the speedy guys like Maid in that into the team.
Yeah.
Because I mean, all it takes again.
I'd like to see Young start. I'd like to see Young start against St Johnstone. I really would.
I thought Young would have started today.
Someone who wants to get the ball, Mark, and just run with the ball. Just run with the ball, Mark, and cross the ball. I want, and he's not afraid, Mark, either to get the ball, Mark, and run into the box with. If he's going to run into the box, Mark, it's 9 times out of 10, Mark, he's going to be taken down. Do you know what I mean? Scottish football, you're going to be taken down, playing for a penalty. And I'd like to see Haxabanfich, Mark, have another go at that attacking midfielder role. Very impressed with him. I think that role could suit him, Mark. We've spoken about that loads of times.
I've said that.
That position, Mark, I want to see him
through the middle.
And I think when he got the ball today, Mark, he was looking for space. He was looking for players. He was looking for something to do with the ball, something different to what we had on the pitch at the start.
But his agent's meant to have been told to find him another team, Paul, to be honest,
I think
Paul.
So, Mark, yeah. I think the only reason, Mark, he was on the kind of bench today was because just had no options back, did we? You know?
Aye, well, maybe that, aye.
You know? Well, I was actually impressed with him, like, you know, do you think that's Tumble's kind of chance now, Mark, that he got in the team? And Rodgers has kind of seen the light that he's not a first team starter.
Maybe not a first team starter, Paul, but how many people are?
At the moment, Mark, I don't know. Really, none of them, Mark, really. I don't think there's no one in that team at the moment, Mark, that can claim that position as theirs. Every position's up the gloves for me at the moment, Mark.
The way the team's sitting in now, Paul, the team that started the day, the team of the day, right?
Novoski, Mark, I think only, really. I would say.
Aye, well, Hart's going to start unless we get a new keeper in, right? Narovski's going to start with Carter Vickers when they're fit.
Mm-hmm.
Taylor's going to start. AJ's going to start when he's fit. Cal McGregor's going to start, even if he's only half fit.
Yeah,
O'Reilly's going to start, and Kyogo. The rest of the team's kind of up for grabs. There's nobody. Do you know what I mean? It's hard to actually pick. We can all say, "Oh, Abada should be my first choice right winger," but he's a bit hit and miss. He's still a young boy. But
I've seen nothing from him today, Mark, that would convince me of that. You know?
But who did you see in Faye?
Nothing.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's what I said. You can't just write fault of these guys off just because we get beat today, but you've got to say that they've got to step it up a level or a gear or two before
getting beat.
The games start coming in week in, week out.
Just getting beat, Mark. If we had an unlucky day at the office, if we hit the post 2-3 times, Mark, or we got an offside rule and stuff like that, but to have only 3 shots on target, Mark, and I don't even think, Mark, they were dead league. I can't even remember that keeper making a good save today. You know what I mean? The keeper was being tested. And that's my problem with today's defeat, Mark, is that we said it before, Mark, it was a lack of effort from this team as well last. And we said that on the Ange as well, Mark. You know, a lack of effort. And we've saw it before.
Many times over the years, the Celtic went up to Kilmarnock and we've played them off the park. And their keeper's had a wonder game. He's been saving left, right, and centre.
Exactly.
But it wasn't like that today.
No,
they dominated us for the biggest percentage of that game.
Mm-hmm. You know, and it's not many teams do that, Mark. You know what I mean? Who would you start next week, Mark? Would you make? So you're going to make changes to this team, like you know?
I don't know.
When is AJ back? Is he back? Do you think he'll be back for the next game? Would you expect?
He might maybe even just come on off the bench, Paul. Do you know what I mean? To get him a wee bit of fitness up if he's ready for that. But I mean, obviously, the kind of aim is to have everybody that realistically can be fit back for going to Ibrox.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's kind of the realistic thing. But again, with the players we've got, they know they're rebels saying Yang. I'd probably start him as well. But it'd probably just be.
I want to see Yang and Abad on the wings, Mark. Yang and Abad on the wings.
I'd swap out Maeda for Yang.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I would just probably end up going with the team that started the day. Because we've not got anybody, any other. Maybe Bernaby. Maybe stick him in for Taylor and take Taylor a bit out the firing line as such.
I would, Mark. Do you know what I mean? I really would. You know what I mean? Like,
or Scales. Even if Scales is here, just play him just to take Taylor out the firing line after that game today. Because I mean, he did it. The players can have a bad game, but
Mark, we saw Scales on the Ange at left back, Mark, and I thought Scales did very well anytime he played for Celtic there at that time. Do you know what I mean? Really, I thought he used to get up and down that ring, Mark, no problem. Do you know what I mean? Scales, you know. I know he's not going, if you want to take the team forward, Mark, he's not the player you want. You want better, like, but at the moment you kind of use what you have, Mark, and Scales and Balby, your only option, Mark. I would do Scales there, Mark, without doubt.
Let's be right. See if we're looking at bringing a left back in. Greg Taylor's probably right. As I said, maybe that's the thing. He put his head down. He's not quite in it. But Greg Taylor's not going to be happy to be sitting playing second fiddle to anybody. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So if you bring that left back in,
you're going to up your game, though. Do you know what I mean? You're going to up your game.
If you bring that left back in, and Taylor knows that, for me, I'd say Taylor's going to be leaving, Paul.
I think so, Mark. Yeah, because it's not just today's game, Mark. He was rotten against Ross County. He was rotten against Aberdeen. He was rotten today against Kilmarnock. You know what I mean? And you expect, Mark,
if Taylor did leave, would that leave a gap in the squad for Scales to stay?
Could, Mark? Yeah, without doubt. I don't think we're going to let Scales go, Mark.
A player that can cover centre back and left back.
Yeah, I don't think we are, Mark.
After spending a year away on loan at Aberdeen and doing well for Aberdeen, and just maybe the next progression is spending a year at Celtic and see how he does. And if it doesn't work out, then next summer we get rid of Scales.
Yeah,
maybe get rid of Taylor this summer.
You know, I don't think. I that's my opinion. I don't think. I think McPhee was gone. He would have gone now. Do you know what I mean? Aberdeen would have kind of wanted him in already. You know,
Aye.
so you know, I don't. I think he'd stay, Mark, because of the injuries that are there. Like Rebel is saying there, Welch is injured now, Mark. He's out for nearly 6 weeks now as well. Like, you know, so I just don't see it. You know, I
Aye,
don't
because
see that.
it's
And I
like,
can't see us going
they're not going
outside.
to go out and sign somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're not going to go out and sign a defender just because somebody's injured for four weeks.
Yeah.
Because it just totally imbalances the full squad when everybody is fit.
Yeah, that's I agree totally to that. You know, you're not just going to sign a player just because the player's injured, like, you know. I like these positions, Mark. You're saying there when Mickey was on goalkeeper, defensive midfielder, left winger, striker, left back. Can you see those positions being filled by the 1st of September? Or
fingers crossed anyway, Paul.
Especially
just a goalkeeper. That's my main concern as a goalkeeper. Because I'm looking at I said it before, Paul. I still think we'll win the league with Joe Hart, but I don't think it'll be easy with Joe Hart.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's my thinking on it. For me, the goalkeeping department's the weakest across the park. I know people will say, "Oh, the left back role and all that,but the goalkeeping, for me, it's the goalkeeper.
The goalkeeper makes a mistake, Mark, all on the game. That just breeds into the team.
Aye. You know? That's for me. It's a must buy that Celtic need to improve on Joe Hart before the window shuts. For anything else after that, the way things are, they do. Anything else above and beyond that, it's a bonus for me. But the necessity is to get an improvement on Joe Hart and goal. Get Seagrass. I mean, why is Seagrass still even at the club?
I don't know, Mark. These things that he wanted to go home, Mark, were at the start.
He wanted to go to Australia. His girlfriend or something's a big social media TikToker or something like that in Australia. So he was wanting to move to Australia. So why Celtic not just? I mean, even when we were in Japan, you get game time in Japan. Why not just let him move to Australia while we were there? It was only one wee hop, pit and skip across the Pacific Ocean or whatever it is. And yet, no, he's still there and doesn't want to be there. He said himself.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, came up and said himself, like, because if he leaves and Celtic don't being the keeper, Mark, you really have Spain, Hart, and the young lad Clark at the club. That's who you have.
Aye.
As your keepers. You know what I mean?
Aye, evening, Frank. Nice to see you, mate. So what do you think is the biggest weakness in the team then?
Any shape or form, end of Big Joe Hart is not the biggest weakness in the team.
That's for
elaborate.
No many people have said that to me. Do you know what I mean? I don't get it. I thought Joe Hart had a couple of sticky minutes towards the end of last season and stuff like that, but I mean, he's done his job. He's done well for us. But it's just, for me, it's just ages caught up with him, Paul. Like McGregor or at Ibrox.
Yeah, that's what you can see. That's happening, Mark. That's exactly what's happening. He's agility. He's gone, Mark.
Just
enough. He might
sharpness and stuff like that.
Here and there. Like he pulled off a good save and stuff like that. But the sharpness there, anytime he's the ball on the feet, Mark, I'm just dreading it. And I don't like this. It's good now and then, Mark, and I'm in favour now and then, booting the ball up forward and stuff. But that can't be your only option, Mark. Do you know what I mean? You know, you're just giving the opposition the ball every time. When Celtic don't have a player up there, Mark, who's able to head the ball. You mean if we're kicking that ball up to Kyogo's not going to win a header against the likes of Fenley and stuff like that. You know, he's not the only thing is Seagrass needs right now is a cab to departure London Airport and thing. Yeah, but Frank, you still didn't give us your explanation on who's the weakest point of the team. You know,
right? Someone who can save a penalty.
We got Seagrass for nothing, didn't we? So why don't we do to Seagrass what we did to Barkas? Do you know?
Well, I think that's what kind of
that was coming down to, Mark.
Aye, kind of looking for the outside in. That kind of seems to be they're just trying to negotiate whether they're going to pay him off, whether he accepts it, or whether, I don't know. Does he want to go to Australia and actually play for a team? Or does he want to just kind of retire from football altogether?
I don't know. You know, might see him on a TikTok video with Cantwell, I suppose. You know,
I'm a celebrity.
I'm a celebrity Australia, yeah. Seagrass in there talking about his time at Celtic and Dundee United. And some Dundee United fan giving abuse from the stands called Jonas. You know, I don't know, Mark. I think there's a week and a half to go to the transfer window. I'm a bit concerned, like, you know.
I'm a bit concerned, but I'm still hopeful that everyone's going to be.
Like, that's what I said.
Everyone's got to fall into place. There's got to be a plan in place, Paul. They're not way this is Celtic.
The Celtic always kind of keep their cards close to the chest, Mark. You know. Celtic biggest weakness is the midfield. They're too slow. I can agree with that, but then we saw this midfield, Mark. What I said in other games, Mark, they step it up. You know, they step up. They can choose.
The biggest weakness is in midfield. So get rid of McGregor, get rid of O'Reilly, home.
You know.
I mean, I'm talking about the actual the player, the position, a single position. People say Taylor, right? But that's only a couple of games. This has been going on for nearly what, 8 months with Joe Hart.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right? Taylor's not played too well the last few games. Neither's McGregor. So, but get rid of Taylor. Why not put McGregor in that same bracket?
Is that a good point here, Mark, by Revan, or reliance on Kilmarnock, who has zero competition, over reliance on Kilmarnock? Do you think that's a good point there?
Aye. Because Cal McGregor hasn't become the player that he should have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when he was playing beside Scott Brown, Paul, many times it was Scott Brown that was dictating the tempo of the play and stuff like that, but it should have been McGregor because he's a far superior footballer than Scott Brown was. Under Ange, McGregor was controlling the tempo and stuff like that. And so if people saying Taylor's the weakest part in the team on the space of what's happened in pre-season in the last couple of weeks, you've got to throw Cal McGregor into that as well, because he's been ganting rotten for the last few weeks as well.
Yeah. Taylor was lost today, unable to move forward. He tends to revert to the back pass or sideways. We badly miss CC. Johnson is potentially obvious that our defence is lacking substance. Could agree with that, Mark. That's a good point there by County in this. You know.
But why is Taylor getting singled out for this?
I think you could single out, like we said, Mark, there on the go. That's
what player did they?
No player stood out today, Mark.
No
player.
There's not once. I mean, Haksabanovic, when did he come on? 70 odd minutes or something like that, was it? And he was probably our most effective. Him and the Korean boy Yang, they were probably the most two likely players to actually do anything. So why people are singling out Taylor because we get put a couple of days, just absolute nonsense when you look at the performances guys like Kyogo put in, Callum McGregor.
I just think, Mark, we've been bad since the start of the season, but I'm still hopeful that today is we kick up the hole to the players, you know what I mean? And Rogers says that then today, Mark, you know what I mean? I'm a new manager. If you don't play the way I want you to play, you're out the door. Do you know what I mean? You know?
But Paul, that the day, right, for me, it was 1,000,000% down to the players on the pitch.
Yeah, definitely, Mark.
As I said earlier, right, you can use the pitch as an excuse or whatever you want, or you can blame Brendan Rodgers, you can blame Peter Lowe, whoever you want, or whatever. But that the day that a Celtic team went to Kilmarnock and put that level of performance in the day, it was ridiculous and embarrassing.
Because like, of this team, Mark, having success the last couple of years, is there no overconfidence in this team going into these matches against the bottom sides and stuff like that? Are we overconfident going in there and thinking that we don't have to turn up to win games and stuff like that?
I don't think so, Paul. I wouldn't like to think so either.
You know. No, I'm just putting it out there. Like,
No,
you know,
no, I know, but no, I
I'm
wouldn't like to
just
think.
trying to think.
I mean, don't
Fucking
get
things
us,
like
the majority of the players today. I mean, Cal McGregor, Greg Taylor, Ralston, Joe Hart, they'd have all been up there today expecting an easy win. But they know what they're coming up against. They know what the pitch is like. They've played on it before. But they probably went up there expecting a hard game, but a win. Do you know what I mean? And they got a hard game and a loss.
Like no one expected that performance. I certainly wasn't expecting that performance today, Mark.
No.
You know, and looking at the lineup, Mark, I no issue with that lineup today. No issue whatsoever with that lineup today. You know, really couldn't players looked afraid to tackle or go in for 50-50 balls. Remember, Kelly don't water that depth trap pitch for set. Yeah, that's I actually heard that, Mark, as well.
But they did what like, you saw the water on it when Neil Lennon was getting interviewed at half time. The big sprinklers were going on at the back of him.
Were they?
Aye. When Lennon was, I don't even know who the woman was that he was. I don't even know who she was. But on that Via play, when they were talking to Neil Lennon at half time pitch side, the sprinklers were on.
I say Neil Lennon's delighted he doesn't have to come into the next round at the Celtic Park. I say he's fucking delighted that Celtic got that.
See, when I was watching it, I don't know. Kilmarnock, they must have like cheerleaders or something like that came out at half time because they all ran by the back of the screen. I was expecting Lennon to chase after them, just throw his mic down and just run after all the lasses.
Piss drunk with that stupid hat that he wears.
You want an autograph? Follow Messiah, me's boy.
What is this? Not the way Celtic want it, Mark. I think that's up to Kilmarnock, then, though, Mark. You know.
It's up to Kilmarnock for the day as long as it's within the rules. But
at the end of the day, Mark, look, and it's come up a lot of times, Mark, over the years, like how would these pitches left in Scottish football? Do you know what I mean?
I know.
Like professional.
People saying about Big Liga Bilk played on his team in Norway.
Mark, their pitch.
Aye, and that's what it should be like. See if you want to see. I mean, I know that they make money off it, like Kilmarnock and Livingston make money off their pitches through the community stuff and stuff like that. But if you want to have a plastic pitch, it's got to be top tier. It's got to be the best you can get. That's what I think. It's that Kilmarnock need to be dealt. Look, this isn't good enough. It's just no happening. We need to get this. You need to get this dealt with, and you've got this season and next season to come up with a plan to get it replaced. Or we're going to have to demote you. We're going to have to put you out of the league.
Do you know, that's a good point there by Rebel there, Mark, and the way we play today reminded me so much of the COVID season on the Neil Lennon. That's the way we played today. It looked like the players didn't want to be there. Do you know, that's exactly what that reminded me of today, Mark. That performance on the Neil Lennons last year. You know, that performance today.
Just
unfit, not wanted to be there, looked like they didn't want to play. You know that's what.
No obvious play style or game plan or anything.
Yeah. You know, and I know, Mark, for a fact, like that's not the way Rodgers sets up his teams. Right, Rodgers is big into tactics and how he man management and stuff. But I don't know. I think hopefully that took this, as I said, like this will be a wake up call, Mark. Hopefully, you know, kick off the hole to the players and stuff like that.
If any of them are kind of in that kind of mindset that they just need to turn up for games, Paul, that's kicked that right out the window today.
Yeah, exactly. You know, exactly. Next week, Mark, I'm expecting a big performance against St Johnstone next Saturday. Really am. You know, big
hopefully, anyway.
You know,
can't be as bad as the day.
You know, well, we have to, Mark. You know what I mean? Can't lose 2 games in a trot, Mark. You know what I mean? That's it's not acceptable, Mark, is it? You know? No, definitely no. You know, like people are saying today, Mark, like Rodgers is under pressure now and stuff like that. Would you agree with that?
No.
You know?
I mean, it's a bit of a disaster. Do you know what I mean? As I said, the very first cup that we could defend and we're out it in the very first round, and it's no ideal, but okay, he's not under any pressure or anything like that.
Even Roger said it, Mark. Like, we just didn't turn up today. The players didn't turn up. That was it. You know, we want clinical and passing. You know, we want creating chances, Mark. Like his assessment of the game was spot on, Mark. We created nothing. You know, really didn't. It was a poor. You know, if we lose at Ibrox, I'm not worried about that at the moment. We'll worry about that 2 weeks' time. You know, of course, I'd be confident once the transfer window's finished. Mark Rodgers know what players he has.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean?
We just need to keep our fingers crossed that there is deals in place for whatever reason. They've not happened yet, but there is deals in place that's just waiting on whether it's clubs making a decision, whether it's players making a decision, or what. But
you know, could be worse. We could have a Yeti up front, huh? Fucking the way he's going is probably looking like that. Jesus Christ, you know, refusing to leave the club, you know.
Fling him on then. Get him in the squad and fling him on and see what he does.
He's not even in the country, Mark. He's not even back at Celtic Park or nothing. You know, they offered him a package or something like that, and he refused.
Aye, turned it down.
Turned it down, and you hear these things like players are coming in, but the only thing I hear, Mark, is Basil looking at him, but Basil didn't have made no bids either, Mark, and I saw nothing from Basil either that they're going to come in for him, like, you know what I mean? So, you know.
Was a sporting director no one of his pals or something like that? Is that know how that came about, that talk?
Yeah, in Basel, yeah, and he was. Supposedly there's a lot of freaking people there in the board as well, Mark, that want him there, but nothing as concrete has ever come in. You know. Who's blaming the pitch? No one's blaming the pitch. You know. Or they're blaming the pitch on the chat, is it? You know. I'm putting all the blame on the players today. That's what I'm doing.
Aye, that's what I blame for it. I'm blaming the players.
Yeah.
See, they let us down. They let the fans down. They let themselves down.
I say we let it there, lads. We'll be back again next week, and hopefully, Celtic will make one or two kind of first team sightings. Mark, I put it that way. You know, thanks to Mickey for joining us, and thanks to you guys in the live chat for joining us as always. Mark will close the show.
Thanks very much, Paul. Thanks again, Mikey, for coming on. Everybody that's joined us in live chat, we really appreciate it. We had good numbers here. There was 30 odd people in live chat at one point, so we really appreciate that. Everybody that watches the stream back, listens to it on Spotify and that, we really appreciate it. Remember and hit the like button, and if you've not subscribed, please do. If you know how, leave a comment in the box below. And we say at the start, the links to our forum and stuff like that, so in the description box below. You're all more than welcome in there, where all the Celtic fans are made more than welcome. So that's it, lads. Good night, hail, and God bless.